Hey folks, welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. This episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. What is HelloFresh? It sends you pre-measured, pre-portioned ingredients and mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. HelloFresh lets you skip those trips to the grocery store, makes home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Listen, they sent me some food. Straight up, they sent me food. And I have tried other meal kits. I tried the one that's like a color and then an item of clothing.
Me too.
And it was all right. This one, here's what I really liked about it. The bags came like already like laid out properly, right? The recipes are super simple, and they were like, you can make this in 30 minutes from nothing, right? And I actually was able to. I work long days. I like cooking. I don't like the time it takes me to go to the store, although I do like fresh ingredients, and I don't like the waste that comes from cooking for two people.
Right.
There's almost always waste, either in the forms of like leftovers I don't really want, or in the form of like throwing out things that like a restaurant might find other uses for. You know what I mean? It just feels wasteful. HelloFresh sent me the exact correct amount of things to make dinner for two people. It was super money. I was really shocked at how good it was. And I'm supposed to read bullet points here, but like that was my honest, true story about HelloFresh.
I've been using it for 3 weeks because someone gave it to me as a gift.
Oh, really?
And it's honestly
really
really
good.
good.
It's really
really
good.
tasty. It feels like I'm making fancy stuff. And for me, I like cooking, but I don't like the stress of looking up the right recipe and then buying the stuff. Because I'm like, well, which one of these 50 websites has the right,
chicken curry or whatever. Yeah.
So they just do that for me, and I'm like learning to cook without the other stress.
Yeah, and I really like cooking, but I find that when I'm working hard and I'm tired, I default to like 5 or 6 things that I make. You know what I mean? If I'm just going to the grocery store myself, it's like, is it going to be meatloaf? Is it going to be pasta? Is it going to be chicken? You know what I mean? It's like the defaults. So there's so many recipes to choose from at HelloFresh that you can literally like learn new cooking without really having to go through the work of learning new cooking.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's kind of nice, right? You cut down your grocery bills by saving up to 40% instead of shopping at your local store. Actually, we did the math. It was actually quite affordable. They've got the flexibility you need with customizable orders every week, and et cetera, et cetera. Both Zach and I were about it. We were both super about it. The food was great. There was no extra waste. Even the packaging that was disposable was like recyclable and fairly eco-friendly. It wasn't like a ton of paper and packaging. It was really good. And the vegetables and the produce was indeed, as they say, fresh. Go to HelloFresh.com/SmokingTire10. Smoking Tire and the number 10, right? HelloFresh.com/SmokingTire10, and then use code SmokingTire10 for 10 free meals once you're there, including free shipping, right? HelloFresh.com/SmokingTire10, code SmokingTire10 for 10 free meals, including free shipping. America's #1 meal kit. And I know why, because it's dank. We are also brought to you by California's #1 ganja company, Tradecraft Farms. I love reading these because I don't have to read them. I just say them. Went down for the re-up the other day. 4 ounces of fire sitting at the shop right now is delightful. And when I say 4 ounces of fire, I mean that literally. You cannot just follow Tradecraft Farms because you should follow @fire on Instagram. I'm not kidding.
Really?
Yeah, they own the brand Fire. Because this is the smartest thing they could do. They're saying they cannot keep it on the shelves because I'm like, is Fire in stock right now? And they're like, there's no such thing as stock. Fire is like GT3 Tourings. They're sold before they get to the showrooms. They got the 24 karat gold joints. They got the white gold joints. They have that super tulip crazy joint thing. And the Fire packaging I really like. And they have the Fire sticks, which are like the super goo. It's like the super goo pens. Like not the regular pens.
Concentrate over them?
Yeah, it's like the regular pens are like, 65%. These are like 90. It's a super goo. So at Tradecraft_Farms, and of course at Fire, because we only blaze fire here. And it's just, frankly, it's a miracle of modern science. It's a miracle of progressivism that I can do this at all as had, and it is a miracle of creative packaging. Frankly, because the ganja industry is leading consumer packaged goods in creative paper folding and packaging right now. If you want to go to take a master class in how to package a consumer product, just go into a Tradecraft Farms dispensary or another. It's amazing.
That's true. They're very creative.
They're they're so good at boxing. It's cool. Amazing. So there are people. Go follow them. Send them a message on Instagram saying the Smoking Tire sent you at Tradecraft Farms at Tradecraft_Farms at Fire, the official ganja of the Smoking Tire podcast. And of course, God forbid, you find yourself on the side of the road, you got to deal with the police. Off the Record is what you need. offtherecord.com/TST. They will fight your traffic ticket in any state in the union. They cover over 90% of the population of the United States. You should never, ever, ever plead guilty to a traffic infraction, and you should never just go to court on your own without being prepared. Use Off the Record. Off the Record will set you up with a qualified attorney in your area or the area where you got the ticket, and they will send someone to court on your behalf to fight that ticket, get those points off your record, and remove you from the law enforcement insurance ecosystem scam that you just found yourself in because you were not paying attention to your speedometer for a few seconds on an unfamiliar road. I've been there, folks. I know how it feels. Always fight your tickets by going to offtherecord.com/TST or using code TST10 on the Off the Record app. That'll get you 10% off all your legal services at Off the Record for 3 years. Okay, it'll do it for a really long time. So download that app, get that account, make it now. That way, when you're on the side of the road with the cops and there's lights flashing in your eyes, you're not scared. You're going to be having a little chuckle to yourself because you're going to go, I'm going to get to email Matt Farah and tell him that Off the Record worked for me when I get out of this ticket scot-free. That's what they do. offtherecord.com/TST or code TST10 on the Off the Record app for iOS and Android. Always fight your tickets, folks. All right, folks, on this episode of the podcast, the editor-in-chief of Hagerty Drivers Club magazine and the big bossy boss of the Hagerty YouTube channel, former editor of Road and Track, former editor of Car and Driver, a man who has been around the block quite a few times, once put a cover story out that featured him timing himself on Tail of the Dragon in a Ferrari 458 Speciale. He has raced old cars, and he has given himself a 10-minute COVID test before coming into the studio. Larry Webster of Hagerty Magazine. Guys are, you've got personalities who are making shows.
Yes,
Magnus was in here promoting the next big thing. We love Magnus, of course, and he does a great job presenting. I think he's fucking himself up. I think you need to buy all the cars you want and then talk about how great they are. You don't project your future collecting plans.
Well, he and I talked about Dino's GT4s forever, and I just bought one last week.
Did you?
Yeah, so I'm gonna ride that. Wave.
Did you have you compared notes with Camisa yet?
Oh yeah, because I've been looking for years, and I drove some like 8 years ago. I was like, yeah, and then I drove his. He's got a Series 1, which is light. It's got the good cams. It's fast. And I was like, oh, shit. So that's what flipped
What was so much different about his than the later
Series
ones?
1s are 600 pounds lighter than Series 2.
Whoa.
Oh, why are they so much lighter?
Because they put in all the structural stuff for crash regulation.
Oh.
And then, as the emissions got more and more onerous, the horsepower went down, the cams changed. So the one I bought is actually from Belgium. So it's a Euro model, 75 Series 1. It kind of has all the bells and whistles. However, I
think you probably want a Euro one.
You definitely want a Euro one because the bodywork's a little prettier, but it didn't... hasn't run since 2005, so I got a lot of work ahead of me. But
you doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah, good for you.
I like
good
doing
for you.
Stuff. Well,
you just sent it to Donnie where I sent mine.
No, I got to be straight. At this stage, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And like 6 months in, I'm like, oh, fuck it.
I just, you know, I
You got a 308? What did you get?
I have a 328.
328.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it's downstairs. You didn't see it? The black one.
Oh,
we'll
no,
go look at it when we're done.
No, that's
it's my daily driver right now.
Oh, nice.
And daily driver for an automotive journalist. So I have press cars, but it's my in between press cars.
I'm
daily
glad
driver.
you clarified. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't own any normal cars.
Right.
And I sent it to Donnie Calloway, Ferrari _1966 on Instagram. It's not. He's a guy. He's a genius. He was a master tech for a while.
Yeah.
He has a airport hangar shop out in the desert that he lives and works in. His apartment's gangster. His apartment is elevated above the shop. It's fucking
like my
super.
dream.
It's really sick.
Yeah.
It's really sick, and it's got a porch that overlooks. It's amazing.
Nice.
And
All right.
so he's like the fucking Ferrari whisperer, especially 308 and 3 Series cars. And so I sent mine to him. I bought it. I put 500 miles on it. It was not running great. I sent it to him. He completely rebuilt the injection system, the cooling system, and the ignition system, and cleaned everything. And it's running fucking tits right now.
Yeah.
It's so great. I'm so happy.
Yeah. Everything I talked about, everybody that I talked to says that powertrain's actually really quite stout.
This is what Donnie said. Yeah. The comparison is a late 80s Carrera. It's like if something's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong kind of slowly, and it's going to be a smell or a smoke or something. It's not just going to boom. And Donnie said he's never once replaced a gearbox in one of those cars. Never.
No kidding.
Yeah, he's never had to. So that's a good sign.
Good to hear.
And he basically, you know, he really, some parts are expensive. Some. Most are not. Most are very reasonable.
Yeah, what was I looking? Okay, funny thing about this car world, how small it is. You probably know this, but I heard about this car was not advertised anywhere from a guy I met on FChat who was looking for one.
You're still on FChat?
No, I just got on FChat to look, and I somehow got in contact with this guy.
FChat, people, is a grinder for Ferrari owners.
You know, don't fucking be hating me for, you know, having my fun. I mean, Matt.
It's FerrariChat.com, Zach. It's not. It's FChat is the, you know, like F-Shack, you know?
That's if you're cool.
What
Zach.
is F-Shack?
That would be a fuck shack.
Oh, okay. So,
Never mind.
right.
So
It still looks like it looked back in the day, the last time I was on it.
Well, dude,
they did update it to Zen 4.0. They put it on a new platform. But it works. Well, everybody hates on forums, but
It works.
damn things
Forums
work.
I don't hate forums. I just hate Ferrari chat.
Well, so anyway, this guy's he tracked it down through a dealer in Chicago. It's in Long Beach. He decides he doesn't want something he needs to work on. I get in touch with the guy. He bought it in '83. It was imported in '82, and he was living in Michigan. Brought it out here, drove it for a while, and then the carbs started leaking, so he parked it in 2005. Never drove it. So then I
love these stories of people where it's like the smallest little fucking the carbs are leaking. Like that's like a one-day fix for somebody.
Yeah, but you look at the receipts, and he had been spending money, and it was like the last straw. He's like, "Fuck it,
dude." I just bought some binders and some some little plastic sheets.
You did good.
You know, for my maintenance records, right?
Yeah.
And man, did my Countach have a rough early 2000s. Somebody spent like 50 G's on this thing in the early 2000s.
You know what I mean? It's crazy. And so I buy the car, and it just gets on the truck to go back to Michigan, and you want to get it?
You know, go ahead.
And then the mechanic of the best Porsche shop in the Detroit area calls me up and goes, "Hey man, I heard you bought Michael's car." I'm like,
small world.
What do you mean? Well, his brother works here at the shop. I was like, whoa. I mean,
my car that I bought, it turns out I had seen it at Radwood, Atlanta, like 2 years ago.
Your 328.
Yeah. There's like a pic. Someone sent me a picture of me standing next to it. Really strange.
So
okay.
that was foreshadowing.
Yeah, I guess. I guess. I hope someone got the door.
How are you finding Ferrari ownership now?
It's my second. I had a 430 stick for a while.
Oh man, that would have been the one to keep, huh?
Well, this had a dirty Carfax. It had a
really?
wreck. Yeah.
Oh.
The first banker who bought it was shit-faced in Long Island, probably in the Hamptons, and went and hit a bush.
Yes. Wow. 430 stick though. That's a nice car to drive.
Yeah.
That's a fucking tasty little thing.
It was really nice, but what I learned is that it's so powerful that all the back roads in Appalachia, I take it, like you were never shifting.
Oh yeah,
because you get to the top a
you just
second,
put it in third and leave it there.
So I was like, and then I didn't want to. I knew the Ferrari the next owner would be so freaking picky about every little thing. Like it seems like late model Ferraris are only bought by people who don't want to drive them and want to make sure nobody drove them.
It's very funny.
So
they also really don't like any modifications. Whereas Porsche people don't really give it. I mean, they like a stock car,
right,
but they're not like personally offended.
Yeah.
I drove that stick shift swapped Scuderia thing, and it turns out the shop that built it was kind of fucking scammers, but not because this car didn't work. Someone put a stick shift in a Scud, a 430 Scud.
Oh.
And they were trying to sell it, and they thought they could get big money for it. And I thought they could probably do okay selling it too. But it didn't
nobody
go for
touched
fucking
it.
peanuts. Yeah, nobody wanted it. And they I don't think they got, they got less than, a stock Scud would have gone. And they thought they were getting all this money for it. Ferrari people just don't want, even if you've built something from mostly OEM parts that's just something that they never made, they're still like,
So maybe Jeff Siegel's 360 Modificata one day will be very reasonably priced.
Yeah, Jeff seems like a very nice guy, and that car seems pretty cool. Why did he get so much media for it? It
you
seemed
mean
just like it was his car.
The 355?
355, right?
Well, he has both. He built a 355 modified, and then he has a white 360 modified that he let us use it on proving grounds. But
that's why.
Yeah, that's why but he's friends with Lee Keen, and so he was like, hey, you want to use this? I'll ship it. And he set it up for oversteer for that day. On purpose.
It's like he built a challenge car.
He built a street legal challenge car.
Yeah,
so it's a manual shift, and it's got challenge mods on it. But it's it's got a plate and everything.
Yeah.
But it's Lexan windows and race seats and stuff. It's very cool.
There was a dude back in the day who did that in period. 09, this guy Bradley. He was a tattoo artist. You remember the EC, Larry? Remember that club? Glickenhaus was in it. A bunch of guys. It was a bunch of guys got booted off of Ferrari chat and started the EC.
No,
it was a separate thing.
I remember hearing about it, but I didn't see the EC.
It was
was it?
Yeah, it was a private forum for rich car nerds, and this guy Bradley was in it, and he had a regular 360, and he bought a bunch of pieces from the challenge race car, the doors with the Lexan, and he just started putting them on his 360, and he did it one part at a time and and ultimately he ended up, and this was in 2008, 7, 8, ended up with a fucking full challenge car on the street. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think
rough,
I'm too old for stuff like that.
Of course.
Yeah, just
my car is air conditioning.
Yeah, I want air conditioning. I want it, especially my street car.
Yeah, I don't even want. I get mad when they send a press car that is going on the scales and it's got the air conditioning delete option. I'm like, get this thing out of here.
Does that ever happen anymore?
It hasn't in a while. The last press car I got that had no air conditioning was the McLaren 675 LT in 2013.
How many cars can you buy without air anymore? One.
You can get AC delete in McLaren LTs.
Okay.
You can get AC delete in a couple of different Porsches. GT
3RS. You can
3RS.
Yeah.
Oh, probably some of the Lotus. Well, if they don't make those.
For them, it's you have to add. You want to add air conditioning?
Right.
Well, not in the new. The Evora you can get air conditioning, but I don't know. It's always super high performance special, limited edition, et cetera, et cetera. And I feel like it's almost done as a marketing thing. You could get it delete on the Z28 a couple years ago.
Oh,
but why? It's
why anybody would. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And they also
it's 40 pounds.
I feel like they just do it like the LT. I think it was the car was just over 3,000 pounds or it was and deleting the AC knocked it the littlest bit under that next mark.
Oh, so they could mark
sub 3,000 curb weight available.
Maybe 15 years ago, I wonder if air conditioning systems used to be heavier and it used to be a bigger deal. But now,
it
they're
used
so
to
much
be
more
heavier
efficient,
and they
they're
used
so
to
much
sap
smaller.
mad power.
Right.
They
And now
still do.
it's not as big a problem.
They still sap it.
I just drove the
compressing
fucking
air. What are you gonna do?
I just drove
but
the
it's not as much,
McLaren
they're much more
Elva that
efficient.
has dual zone air conditioning and no roof or windshield.
You want it just on the back of your neck, I find.
They don't do that. They do it under the thing.
Oh, okay.
but
So it keeps you from getting pitted?
Yeah, no, not under the armrests, under the dash, regular. It's
okay.
regular air conditioning. Yeah, it's not.
And then it floats into the atmosphere immediately because of the air. Right.
Well, when I was mobbing up the canyon with air conditioning on full crank and really getting after it a little bit, I overheated the car. You can do that even in $1 million car.
Something's wrong there. I can't imagine that was a design.
It was very hot, and I was at high altitude, and I was sustained driving at pace with the air conditioning at full crank, unable to recirculate said air conditioning, just venting cold air into the atmosphere.
Something was wrong with that because they make those things for Dubai, right?
In theory.
Yeah. It should be able to handle, Angeles Crest in the middle of summer.
It should. Things should be. And once I chilled a little bit and I blasted the heater for 5 or 6 minutes, temperature came right back down and it was fine after that. I didn't overheat it.
I mean, this picture's kind of embarrassing then because it shows quite a bit of airflow going into the front. You think?
That's the Elva.
That's the Elva. Yeah, that's what I was driving.
Are we? By the way, are we recording? No.
Been recording.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For 20 minutes.
I was waiting for an intro.
No,
I do those. I don't like to do those you just sitting here staring at me. I do them at home later. That way I can make fun of you in the privacy of my own home. I do those when I do the advertisements.
Got it.
Before the show.
Okay.
I like when you guys, the guests. I just like to dive bomb, in.
Got it. Sorry, I threw a few F-bombs in there. My mistake.
Why? You don't. There's no FCC. Fuckity fuck. It's all good.
Well, I know you're
all good.
I'm sorry.
You run the joint. You don't. You're almost can't get fired. You're pretty close to can't get fired. And besides, you're trying to talk to young people. Young people don't like when
yo.
Young
the
people
kids
don't,
love
that work?
Yeah.
Young people don't like when white guys in vests apologize for saying fuck.
A blue plaid shirt.
The kids love the F word.
I forgot my.
You want to talk about your magazine? Because I like your magazine very much,
I'm glad
especially
you
this
get
issue.
it.
This is my favorite issue of the year.
Tell me what you like about it.
Well, so when we do this show live, which we are live right now.
Okay, good to know.
We get asked questions from the fans a lot about driving dynamics and stuff, but we much more often get asked about cars I can buy and not lose money. And so, unlike every other car magazine out there, which has new car road tests and whatnot, Hagerty really takes the value of the car, but not only the driving experience, but also the money in, money out equation into account. So a lot of people don't think about Hagerty Magazine as doing that, but it's a really good thing that you guys do.
Yeah. Can I give you a little background on where it came from?
100%.
I showed up at Hagerty. I was at Road and Track, and I had started Performance Car of the Year at Road and Track. I started Lightning Lap when I was a car and driver. And these big tentpole event things with a lot of cars on the cover always did well. So I'm like, I need this for Hagerty. And I was thinking, what does Hagerty do really well? That's what that is.
You need the shot, right?
You need the shot with a ton of cars.
The big group shot. You got to have that. And this is always fun to shoot, too.
It's super fun to shoot.
You park the cars, and then you fucking roll up a fat blizz on while the photographer's up on a ladder doing his work.
And everybody moves them around. So I thought... All right, let's figure out what maybe we can predict what cars are going to go up in value. But I want to be clear, it's never about making money. And you know this, Matt. It's just you can enjoy this stuff without losing a lot.
We actually talked about this on our very last show because we get asked so often about cars that are going up or what. And I always talk about how you shouldn't think about it as going up. You should go, how do I lose less money than, and not even less money than other old cars. Just it's got to be, you got to think about it as less money than the depreciation of a new car. That's got to be where your comparison is. I could drive a 30-year-old Ferrari for net less than...
But golf costs money, right?
Yes,
and
a lot.
I always it's kind of the worst part about the automotive, or let's say classic car community at this point. It's that endless thing about what did you pay?
Right.
And I'm always like, Mikhail Hagerty started, he gave me the best line. He's like, well, I'm a buy high and sell low kind of guy. How about you? Yeah, I am. So that's what I use. Just
you should
own
put
it.
that as a subline on here. You should put Drivers Club for those who buy high and sell low. I think that's very good.
But just own it. It's fun. You're not in it to make money. You're here to enjoy yourself. And
I think that's an easy thing to say, but I think that a lot of folks who aren't made of money want to get these types of experiences, want to own something cool, rewarding, and maybe they don't have the money to lose. And they're trying to figure out, how do I get into this hobby? That's why, in watches, if you're a middle class person who wants to get into watches, just collect Rolex. because you can't
Store value.
afford to take these 50% depreciation hits while you figure out what your taste is. Just buy fucking Rolex, and then it's money in, money out, right? And with cars, it's not really the same thing.
No, because there's upkeep.
Right. And insurance. And
all that stuff.
Yeah, and all kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, that's why we started the bull market, to try and give a big cross-section of cars every year that you can buy. And you can't guarantee, but the likelihood is you're going to have some fun and you can get out without spending a ton of money.
And what's cool about Hagerty Magazine, and what you were getting to, I believe, and can continue down this road, is that when you got there, not only did you want a big splashy magazine cover like this, you have troves of data.
Yes.
So tell me about the data.
They have a team of 15 data scientists, and they go out and they gather data at auctions, they gather private sales data, and then they gather data from people who call up to get insurance quotes. So they know their age, they know where they live, they know what they paid, they know what they sold the car for. So it's this massive trove of data that they sift through and try and give us some insights. And then, of course, we interview them and, pester the heck out of them. And so what's been fun is we've been tracking every year how we did with the bull market list. And
I saw that.
Good.
I was just on that page earlier. You guys have a pretty good.
We're trying to.
Pretty good.
Because I think with old car values, most people kind of, I think they just, lick their finger, put it in the air.
Yeah,
look at this.
yeah,
let's
it's
go,
true.
Go to camera 3 here, Zach, for a second, if you have. So if there's, I'll see all this blue. Blue is their previous predictions that have made money, that have gone up, and this little bit of red here at the bottom is where they have lost.
We're not perfect.
No, but your loss, and one of your losses is incredibly minimal. Also a fucking shitbox, if you ask me. And one is a wild card.
People like Pintos,
and one is a wild card. Yeah. So what?
So did you ever hear? Did
McKeel
McKeel ever tell you why he started the valuation? Because it's it's a big investment and it is recurring year over year. Was what he realized was that 20 years ago, and people were trying to buy and sell cars and enjoy this, there was no agreed what is the value. So it wasn't safe. So for the person to get in, he wanted to have a way that they could have some reasonable assurance that what they were paying was the right price. So that's why he started the whole thing. And it was brilliant because what it did is it allowed people to kind of look, value a car, buy it, know they're not getting scammed.
Yeah.
So it sort of took a lot of the risk out of this hobby, which was brilliant.
Well, that's good.
We're trying to maximize it.
And actually, I mean, their insurance, for which I am a customer.
Thank you.
I'm a customer of the car for my cars. I'm also my business.
Oh, is it really?
This business is insured for liability, garage keepers, and warehousing under Hagerty.
Awesome.
And my wife just got fucking smashed into in her Delica. My wife drives a 1991 Mitsubishi Delica, Japanese van.
Oh, wow. Is she okay?
She's fine. But even a nice insurance person like the person at Hagerty who she's dealing with, we find a very interesting conversation happens because you have to describe to quite a lot of people, A, what the fuck this thing is, B, no, that is the correct number of digits in the VIN, and C, the driver versus passenger side. Oh, did they hit you on the passenger driver side or the passenger side? Well, it's the passenger side, but it's the left.
Yes.
What do you mean? Well, but because, and what I'm getting to with this story is that because A, my wife was hit by someone with fucking no license and no insurance.
Oh gosh.
Neither license nor insurance, and yet 2 attorneys. Welcome to America.
Wow.
Yeah. But because the van is registered with Hagerty, it's declared value. So the damage, the car's totally drivable. It's totally mechanically fine. It has very low miles, and it is and my wife loves it. So regular old insurance looks at a 30-year-old van and goes,
It's worth $2,000.
$7,000, fucking total that shit out. Right. Done. Which is what their adjuster wanted to do. So when we called Hagerty, we said, you don't understand. This van is special. Their adjuster comes over. Guess what? It's not totaled. It's fixable.
Oh, so we took care of you?
Yeah, because the accident's not our fault.
Yeah.
Our premiums don't go up. So it's great.
Oh,
so now we get cosmetic repairs, Clean title against a declared value. And the way that works is you tell them what your car is worth. You pay a premium accordingly. And if your car gets fucked up, that's how much they cover you for.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
the whole business is predicated on making sure people can enjoy this. And
also,
I'm so happy to hear
they
that.
treat you like a human being.
Yeah.
And what I say by that is they know that you as a human being have a right foot, a left foot, and only one ass.
That's
So
right.
if you own 50 cars, you
drive them
can't possibly be driving them all at the same time. So your first one is expensive. Each additional is very cheap, and that's smart.
Yeah.
For people who have multiple cars.
I tell you what, you would not believe what goes into making sure all the people that answer the phone are as knowledgeable as they are. Like, they have training programs. They have a garage where employees restore cars with the experts, and they just make sure from top to bottom the whole company is geared towards car lovers.
And I look, I pay retail for this shit. I get no discounts, nothing. I'm not doing an ad. I'm very happy with their services. And I think, it's not the cheapest insurance you could buy, but
Do you want the cheapest insurance?
Well, no, because look what happens when someone smashes into you. If we had the cheapest insurance, we'd be super, super hosed. And you know why? Because that chick who hit us, her mother did have the cheapest insurance.
Oh, really?
and when we called the Hagerty guy, we're like, they have this other company. He went, oh boy.
Yeah, and they're just going to make sure they fix it for you.
He went, you're not getting anything from them.
Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, they ruled. We were there. I mean, I was happy to have them. You get a human on the phone.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Yeah,
nice.
it's great to
Choose
hear.
my own body shop.
Yeah, you get to choose your own body shop. They just want to make sure they treat it like, oh my God, I'm so bad that happened. What do we got to do to make it better?
Yeah.
And that's what they do. So
all the dude wanted was his van back.
that's it.
Yep.
Just wants his van back.
God, it's such a great van too. So charming.
I don't know, man. Those things scare me, man, because you're sitting right at the bumper in that thing, right?
It's not. Yeah, I mean, I don't recommend it for like road tripping. It's more of an urban kind of runabout.
That's not a K-van, is it?
No, it's
full size.
It's
like the Mazda one.
I wouldn't call it full size. It's cab over, but
like a
it's
Previa.
like a Toyota Hi-Ace. It's like that.
Yeah.
But you know what's great about it? In the back, the captain's chairs, second row, they swivel and slide, so you can create
It's like a party bus.
Yeah, and so when they shut down, outdoor dining in LA, we would bring the van and park it outside the restaurant and get to go, and we'd have our own little dining room outside the restaurant.
That's the way
It's
to
fabulous,
do it. Oh, that's
actually.
good for you.
Yeah, we brought our own little outdoor dining.
So I was just looking at this bull market list, and I was
This
curious.
year's is good.
Do you have a Ford GT?
I don't. I should have bought one in 2011 when they were 180 grand, and I could have.
I don't know. I never really loved them that much.
I saw you wrote,
What?
you wrote the little bit
Yeah.
about the GT in
I
here,
did,
and
yeah.
you wrote kind of an underwhelming review. Not that your writing skill was underwhelming, but you said that when you drove it new, it didn't impress you that much, which I found interesting.
Yeah, but I got to table that. It's crazy fast.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
What
weird.
just happened there?
It's like Larry's mic just got turned off. Oh, how strange. How strange that should happen.
Don't worry,
right
Zach. I'll
when
talk about your Miatas in a
Right
minute,
when he's
all right?
about to explain why the Ford GT isn't good. All right, go ahead.
Totally fast, totally performance, all that stuff. It just lacked feel.
Interesting.
I remember all the Ford engineers were there. I was a gingerman. I was setting a lap time. It was one of those pressure cooker kind of things. And I got the lap time and whatever. And I thought, compared to like a Ferrari 360 at the time, that just you got out with your knees knocking. It was so awesome experience. The GT didn't do that for me.
How interesting.
Yeah.
Oh. At the time, I worked at an exotic car rental company when they were new.
Oh,
and
really?
We had 360s, and we had we had a Ford GT, and we had Mercies. We had every exotic car of the time, so I drove them all. It was like a magazine test, kind of.
What did you think?
It was my favorite car that we had, actually.
One of us doesn't know what the hell we're talking about.
No, I mean, I thought that it did a lot of things really, really right, and especially compared to the Z06, which came out at the time and was a cool machine, but was rough and gruff,
Yeah,
and
you
the
don't do
GT
that.
was slick.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I think I've learned since then is how serious the Ford engineers took that car. I mean,
Really
they really
serious.
made a really good car. They were not joking around with the heritage of that.
Yeah, and because they put triple the horsepower through these things with almost stock bottom ends, and they run
it's
them
crazy.
on runways,
Yeah.
and they run 250 miles an hour with the windshield wipers staying attached. Things don't fly off.
I thought you were making a joke to this thing I started at Countach called 0 to 200 to 0.
Oh.
And
that is an awesome test.
Yeah,
yes.
we used to do that at this runway in Oscoda that was used for nuclear bombers in Oscoda, Michigan. And the guy showed up with a Ford GT twin turbo to the hill, and I was like, "So did you take apart the bottom end?" And he goes,
"No,
no,
they're good. Yeah,
and it
that's
ran
why
crazy
amazing.
fast, right? It worked
crazy fast. I think it won.
How many cars that showed up for those events actually were able to complete the test and get to 200? Because I remember back in the day, some of the stock cars that were advertised as going 200 couldn't.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, well, they were all modified.
Okay.
Like
it was a tuner car test?
It was a tuner car test. And they would show up, and I think it was like 8 out of 10 made it. One did not.
That's pretty good.
I mean, they brought some science experiments. It was pretty amazing.
Dude, I drove a Viper recently.
Oh, yeah.
It was 2,400 horsepower. Street car. And
Did you buy it? Did you buy that number?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, because I drove it. We timed it with telemetry, 60 to 150, 5 seconds flat. Fucking awesome. It was bananas.
I mean,
Your face would tear off.
If that is not proof that America is the greatest country in the world, I don't know what is.
3 guesses. What state was that car built in?
Texas or
One.
Nevada?
Done. That's it. You just need all you need. No, that's a Texas build right there. Full on. But on the bull market, I want to talk about some of the more because the bull market isn't just here's all the exotic sports cars you should buy.
Right, and just if I could say, it's all on Hagerty.com, by the way. You can go get it, look at it. It's all there.
Let's talk about the 07 Grand Cherokee SRT8.
Yes.
Because it's a fine vehicle.
Totally
Nothing
cool.
wrong with it.
No.
But I don't see, because they continue to make newer and improved versions of cars like the Grand Cherokee, I don't see this as being like a collectible, really. Do you?
Yes, because it was one of the first of the muscle SUVs. Number 2, it has the Hemi. And number 3, the new ones that keep coming out getting more and more expensive, more and more complicated. So I'm not saying this is going to go from 30 to 60, but we think it's got a floor and room to grow.
I think it's got a floor at 28, right, or something like that.
What did we say it was?
29 to 36.
Bingo.
Yeah. I think high 20s. That's got a floor for sure.
And that's a number 2 condition, which is a really really nice car, low miles. That's one of the best. You can probably get them for 20 all day long.
Testarossa, not shocked.
Why not? Why are you not shocked about that? I was a little shocked at the Testarossa when the data guy said this was one. Why were you not?
I think people have been talking about Testarossas in my circle recently.
Because you remember when they had the spike like 40 years ago, right?
Yeah. And then they settled a little bit.
Yes.
And then I think now it's back. I think that...
Why?
Because I actually think there's fewer and fewer new manual transmission offerings. And I think that if people think they can get into a Testarossa and have that experience, they're gonna.
Well, it's in the Radwood era. I mean, it's kind of a king of that era. And with that movement growing and growing and growing, it's going to keep pulling the interest towards that. You know?
For anyone who wants, I know that it is not true, but a lot of people who want an 80s Ferrari would never get a transverse car because they think it's slow. They think a 308, a 328, or a Mondial is not fast enough.
That's fair.
For them, and which leaves a Testarossa pretty much. So that's your choice. Aston V8 Vantage, first gen.
Ooh, great.
Not shocked at all this is here.
Those things are total sleepers.
They are.
They're brilliant cars, and they're cheap as hell right now.
Gorgeous. And the fact that the new one is a little underwhelming, it makes this one look so tasteful and restrained and classy.
And that one was like a dark blue, almost black that I had never seen in person until I was there for that shoot.
Color.
Dark blue over camel is a good combo.
It was
stunning. Beautiful car.
Yeah. The key to these, manual gearbox, obviously.
Yeah.
And if you can
wait, let's talk about
get
manual for a second.
Yeah.
How long do you think that's going to command a premium?
15, 20 years maybe.
You think that long?
Well, the problem is, yeah, I do. Because I think there's folks that are still young enough to want it who will have that desire.
Because I heard from a guy who sells 356s in the Southeast, and he's like, if I had a Tiptronic 356, I'd never be able to keep them in the showroom.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
That's funny. I mean, that's funny.
Right. Because they want the style. They don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I that makes sense, but I do think those
I'm with
single clutch
you.
exotics kind of suck. The early paddle cars.
Oh, the SMGs and stuff?
They suck
terrible.
balls.
Yeah.
I just drove a V10 M6 that was a really, really nice one. that I just drove a minute ago, and it was not good.
No,
it was the best one you'll find around, and it was not good.
Right.
So I think the sticks of that, if you want a 430, if you want a 360, if you want a 355, the stick is so much better than the other option.
Okay. Playing devil's advocate, having lived with that 430 stick and also driven a lot of 458s, which only come with dual clutch.
But the dual clutch is way better than a 430 single clutch. 430
of course,
single clutch is not
a single
that great.
clutch. But I'm saying, given the choice between the 430 stick and the 458 with no stick, I'd get the 458.
Okay, old man. I see.
It's got air, too. It's got
458s are really nice. And
really
have
nice.
several customers here at Westside who are trying to find them and having a very hard time finding them because it seems the people who have them are not letting them go.
Yeah, but I also think there's a horsepower peak where a stick shift makes sense.
400.
I was thinking 3.
Oh, okay. Who's the Miata guy
Well,
now?
you have your limit and I have mine, and mine is just a little bit farther than
That's
yours.
a strong argument, though, because the 458 you could drive every day. You could drive it more often, more comfortably, but also screams still. So
Well,
you
I'm
kinda
out
get more
here
out of
with
it.
my 69 911E.
Yeah,
Right?
which is a lovely car.
Nice little car. And you're winding that bugger out to $7,000 all the time and shifting
Just to get out of a parking space.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Dude,
And-
my money's in a 328.
Okay,
I'm with
so you know what I'm talking about.
I'm 100%
So, okay,
with you.
so where is that
I
ceiling?
could afford a 360 stick if I wanted one. I didn't want one. I wanted this. But the ceiling for me is like 400 horsepower or so. It's about where I want to stop playing catch up with the gearbox. You know what I mean?
What do you mean? No.
Where the car gets so fast that I'm always trying to, catch up with the gearbox.
So over 400, you're catching up.
Over 400,
Yes.
I'm always feeling like
I
I'm
agree.
playing catch up, and I have to decide: am I going to shift? Am I going to steer? I can't. I can stop doing things at once.
Yeah, I mean, to us, and we're so big in this idea that we're so busy, we have no time. But you get in a car with a stick shift and you're driving, like, there's nothing else you could do. You got to be driving the damn thing.
Yeah,
you're
or
totally
riding a
present.
motorcycle.
or riding a motorcycle,
Yeah.
or whatever you talk about.
My
By the
other
way,
daily is a
you just
Vespa.
turned to this little Honda.
Dude, I
love
love
that
S600s.
thing.
So
Oh.
Honda S600 never sold new in America,
No.
as far as I know. Where did this one come from?
Peter
that you got?
Cunningham.
No. Where was it
Canada.
sold? Canada, because it's left-hand drive.
Yeah.
This thing revs to 9,000, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a little motorcycle.
In
motor.
1965, revs to $9,000. Leno's got one of these and loves it.
Really cool car. Really
I mean,
cool.
you see what every other car maker should have seen that in the 60s and gone and swallowed and said, gulp, is this what's coming? We're dead.
Yeah, true.
I mean, it's like the S2. It's like an S2000 now. I mean, it really is high-revving, little engine. In fact, even the shifter is the shifter as good as it looks?
Oh, it's
the shifter
brilliant.
looks fabulous in
It's
this.
the best. That car was such a little gem. I loved it.
And then you got Westies, little Westfalia is in here.
Okay. This one, like the Westies, this van life thing. I mean,
Dude, they're
all good at Instagram.
Dude,
Nobody,
Delica life. Delica is like a Westie that works.
yeah, but nobody in those Instagram posts is over 120 pounds.
That's
right?
hilarious. That's hilarious. I fucking was just walking, I live in Venice, right? So it's fucking van life.
Yeah, you
right?
are van life central.
So me and my wife were walking to dinner the other day, and I walked by this just beat fucking RV. The paint is super faded. The graphics are all, peeling. It's probably from the late 80s beat, right?
American one, or is it based? Is it like a European van?
No, like a RV,
Winnebago.
like a Winnebago. Yeah,
Okay.
but it's tired as fuck.
It's kind of the
this
trashy
thing.
one.
Real trashy.
Yeah.
And the lights are on inside. You can hear the generators going. And as we're walking by, I can see the couple inside the RV is making dinner, and they literally look like Abercrombie models.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, would I trade?
I tell you, I'm impressed they bought with an American V8, not a European one, like a Sprinter. I mean, this shows
No,
real.
this is old. This is old school.
Yeah, my hat's off
Sprinter's
to 'em.
like, that's like tech mogul camping. This seems like
Sprinters
it
are
was
expensive.
perma surf bum.
Sprinters are crazy
This seemed
expensive.
more permanent surf bum.
I often wonder, you spend one weekend in one of these vans, and
That's enough, really.
That's enough.
That's enough.
I mean, these have been getting too expensive in my opinion for a long time. And one of my best friends from childhood restores, repairs, and builds these. And even 6 years ago, he's like, people are buying Synchros for $80,000. I'm like, Eric, what is happening? These are 45 horsepower. Barely go up a hill. He's like, I don't know. They were so unique back then, and they still work, but they require a lot of maintenance. I don't know why people go after these, but not like an E350 that also has
like
E
you could put
That's what I
RV
mean, the
hookups on a
E350.
fucking E350
Right.
for $1,000 bucks.
and you can get
Done.
parts
Right.
for it at any auto parts store across the entire country.
It doesn't
I don't
fit
know.
the Instagram profile.
Right.
I guess so. Yeah.
Well,
I
look,
don't
the
know.
Delica fits in the square frame. You can profile it. You don't even have to go landscape.
The Delica has a lot of street cred.
You shoot with a Hasselblad in profile. It's really fabulous.
The one, Matt, that I wanted to bring to your attention because it surprised us all was this Jag XK120. Because we all talk about post-1980 cars being the future, and that's happening. But what's happening is it's bringing these like classic sports cars. They're coming down in price. And suddenly they're getting to a spot where they're not crazy money, and they're freaking brilliant experiences. This Jag, I don't know, did you get a chance to drive it? You were out there?
No, Parker drove it.
I have not driven a Jag 120. Could I fit in it?
Yeah, you could fit in it.
I could?
Yeah.
It's my fat belly and the wheel that really would
There's
these guys, I don't know how they fit, because it was fat old British guys driving this shit too. I don't know how they fit under these wheels.
So the owner took out all the padding in the seats.
That's how.
That's what he did.
It had room, man. It looked stunning. The engine was gorgeous.
They drive way better than you expect a 50s car to drive.
That's what I thought about when the first time I drove a really well sorted 356 as well.
Oh, yeah,
and when
nice.
I drove a Gullwing, a Mercedes Gullwing, I was like, fuck me, this drives like amazing. I could daily this thing.
They're that legit.
Gullwings are great. Yeah, they're so awesome. So what's this? What's the 120 like to drive?
It just is. The engine is silky smooth. It pulls all the way through. There's no vibration. It just sort of goes down the road, and the chassis flexes. The wheels move up and down. It's got it's really supple. The wind's in your face, and it looks like something like a mogul from the 20s.
Right.
It's gaffy, man.
When you're
It's
looking
100%.
out, you're looking over those pontoon fenders. I know what that's
and
about.
the shifters, they're right in the gearbox. This is why Jaguars have the reputation they do today, is because of the XK120.
Yeah. Parker got out of it and he started looking up. He's like, I want to get one of these. And then he learned how much they cost, and he's like, never mind. But he was absolutely smitten with this vehicle and just driving around laughing his head off.
So number 2
Stunning.
condition, though, I mean, it's still not cheap. This is still 120 to 145 grand.
Everybody's got a 401k though, right?
Liquidate that. It looks.
I understand. I mean, seeing them, you go, oh yeah, one day
They're
especially this black with black over red with the knockoffs and the black
SS
wires.
version.
That shit is
They're
dope.
fast too, man.
Is there a big difference between a 140? Have you had to go in a 140?
I have not.
140?
I think the big thing was the SE. You want the sport version of the 120.
Oh, the SE, huh?
Yeah. Colin was here. He can tell you all.
You know what's
stuff.
cool back in the day with these? They used to sell like race parts out of the dealership.
Yeah.
You could buy heads. Like you could go to your Jag shop and go, I'd like the race heads for my XK120. They go, okay, here you go, and you'd walk out with them like in a bag.
That's like Donnie's got that BB with the race heads.
Yeah, exactly. Like
the
that's
dude
like
who did my Ferrari,
car.
he's got some guy back in the day. I don't remember who the guy is, but he was a somebody. Had some hookup with Maranello, and he bought a boxer, 512 boxer. Wasn't fast enough. So he somehow got the parts department to sell him the BBLM heads, cams, and crank.
Gosh, how many of those LMs did they make? Not a lot.
Like 5.
Yeah.
Donnie implied that the engine itself was worth more than like a pair of other boxers. And he was rebuilding it right now, but apparently it's just some fucking psycho death Ferrari special engine. But it's in a road car. It's cool.
That is pretty cool.
I'd fuck with that.
I would like that
Have
too.
you driven E-Type? You have, right?
Yeah.
Is this better than E-Type dollar for dollar?
No.
E-Type's still where it's at?
Yeah, well, especially the E-Type, you can get a coupe.
Right.
And the coupes are really pretty spectacular, especially the Series 1 stuff.
Yeah, I like the Series 1 coupes.
Have you ever,
nice.
you know what brings to mind? I think a lot of our generation did not understand what the sports car scene in the 50s was like. Have you ever read that book Burt Levy wrote, The Last Open Road?
Mm-mm.
Now, he just did a produced theatrical audiobook version of it where he's got actors reading the parts. It's super fun.
Really?
Yeah, and it really gives
Is it
you...
like on YouTube? Can I go check it out somewhere? Maybe?
I'm sure it's download free somewhere. I don't know.
I don't know. I literally... Is it
No,
like
it's
a
not on
live
YouTube.
show that I can...
No, it's not live.
Yeah,
It's taped.
Okay.
I think it's thelastopenroad.com or whatever Bert's got.
Okay.
But just to get a real feel for how new it was, how clubby it was, how they were so exciting when nothing's going on and they're racing cars up hills. And it was a real eye-opener to me when I read that book a while back and said, oh, this is what all the hubbub of 50 sports car culture is about.
It's kind of like when I heard about like New Zealand car culture. Like, you ever go down there?
I'm dying to go there.
It's the best. I mean, it's obviously, especially now, but when we went, it was so amazing because they like really embrace the car culture. Like, there's a hill climb.
Yeah.
every weekend of the year in New Zealand.
Wow, really?
There's an amateur hill climb circuit, and there's a different hill climb every fucking weekend of the year. And they even have what they call street sprints, which is flat hill climbs. So they just shut down roads,
Right.
and they set up a racetrack, and they do that shit.
Like
and
roads in a town, though, past commercial buildings and warehouses and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's like autocross on a grid.
Sounds
It's really,
fun.
really cool.
Yeah, and they just run that, and like it's the coolest. And so there'll be like a group of like 10, friends, right? And like that guy knows how to lay carbon fiber, and like that guy can cast aluminum, and that guy knows ECU tuning, and that guy, just has a fridge with beer
it's a
in
whole
it.
community.
And they just pass their project cars around to each other to do this shit. It's
That
really
sounds
cool.
fantastic.
It's great.
Well, you guys kind of have that here in LA.
No, here in LA, each of those people charges $200 an hour.
You are correct, because LA is an amazing center of like automotive fabrication, design, etc. But it is like it's more like the experts of the experts.
Yeah.
So it costs a lot of money.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Because like I'm in Ann Arbor, which is west of Detroit. Like you want to go get. I remember I had a 1990 Range Rover. Oh my God, worst car ever. But I needed power steering hose, and of course the factory wanted like $8 million.
Yeah.
Just hydraulic high pressure hose.
Yeah.
Like somebody's got to be able to make it.
Totally.
It's so hard to find.
Really?
No, here you could get that kind of
you
thing.
get that in a
yes.
second here.
Yeah, you could, but it's not like James in his shed doing it
No.
for a case of fucking VB.
Okay, it's all serious. We're all making a living.
Yeah,
with this.
everyone's earning a living doing this. Yeah,
okay.
and you're gonna, but you can get really really good people here to do almost any weird old car. There's a really good specialist in this town.
I think the craftsmanship's pretty.
Yeah.
Think of all the cars that are made here, from the Singer Porsches
Yeah.
to whatever. I mean,
Even little
Toyota,
shops,
yeah.
little shops doing great work.
Yeah.
What are you in town for?
Aaron Robinson, one of the writers at the magazine, he had this is such a great Aaron idea. He said he's got a 48 Buick sedanette, which is like a fastback.
Yeah,
Super
I've
pretty
seen
car.
it. It's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's totally cool. And he said, well, I want to drive it up the Lost Coast. And I was like, wait a second. The Lost Coast is Highway 1 north of San Francisco. I was like, the best driving road you can think of, and you want to take your 48 Buick? He's
It's
like,
very Aaron.
yeah. And
He
then,
might as well have said, I'd like to take an Abrams tank.
totally. But then he made this great argument where he was like, well, the road was built for this car because the road was built in the 30s. And I was like, oh, interesting. Like, what's it like to experience?
I mean, the road was built to get people from A to B.
Fine, but it was still significantly shittier than doing it in a 458.
Now, if I was going to write and make that argument, it's a no-go.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
Aaron
yeah.
can pull that off. He can
Sure.
write it beautifully. And so I said, all right, I got to sample this. And
Okay.
So we came
So
out
you're
to
going?
that. We already did it.
Oh, you did it?
Yeah.
Oh, did you make it?
We didn't go. No, we didn't do the Lost Coast. We were just going to do Highway 1, and then of course the Big Sur.
Yeah, and then it
collapsed.
fell into the ocean.
So we sort of stayed, a little bit south here, but it was still kind
Just
of.
drove it on the 101, but
So you drove it to
Same
Bill's.
feeling,
and,
yeah.
Go to In-N-Out Burger.
get the taste of it.
But I think people forget, well, at least I didn't know until I see that Buick was so well made. I mean, all the controls and everything. There was a lot of craftsmanship in that car, even though there was a ton of dead space and big
Was it 48?
I mean, I don't know about
sedanette.
we have some American cars and some German cars here, both from the 50s, and the line is blurred in terms of quality. We've got a really nice Cadillac and really nice Mercedes, and the Mercedes has a little more wood where the Cadillac has a little more metal. But other than that, like the level of craftsmanship on like the levers and stuff and the gauges is pretty much the same.
Is it?
It feels
Yeah, between
the
Europe
build
and the
quality.
US.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but I think what happens is like, you talked about that Honda S600.
Yeah.
And do you have any motorcycles? Do you have any 60s Hondas?
Here,
Just in general, are you any familiar with them?
I mean, I've been in one, but I don't, and I have
I
a
haven't-
casual familiarity.
I've
with
heard
them.
of the 60s.
Sometime before. Were they driving back then? Yeah. So we had, I have a 68 Honda CB160 motorcycle.
Oh well, did you see my CB500, my CX500 turbo?
Oh, you have the
under
turbo
the
one.
stairs.
Okay.
Yeah, it's parked under the stairs.
So that bike in 68 had 12-volt stressed engine part of the chassis, electric start, all this aluminum crankcase, crazy
Yeah.
And then you go into the 70s, the small bore Hondas, you could see they went to 6-volt, no electric start. Like what I think what happens is they realize they make this awesome thing, and then they're like, we're not
There's
making
no
any money.
margins in this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they
So
start
that's
cheaping.
that's the one you want to own.
Yeah.
You want to own the really.
So by the 50s, I had a 55 Ford piece of junk.
Yeah.
Total piece of junk. And Aaron's 48 Buick. When Buick was a more premium car, but
Immediate
really nice.
Post-war. Immediate post-war. New designs.
Yeah.
Jet age. You know, American pride kind of thing. That's probably a very good period.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree.
I mean, they still had all the stereotypes, but those cars, which as the newer cars, you've probably watched some of the top 10 auction sales for the past like 20 years, and at the big public, you know, it used to be it was like, you know, 250 Ferrari were the top 10 big ones. Now it's all like Enzos.
Yeah.
And, you know, so as the market moves to newer cars like that Buick are just going to stay really affordable.
Well, that's true. Yeah, we talked about this as well. Like, what happens to the cars of the 40s and 50s?
What about Model Ts?
Or Model Ts, you know, that are not, you know, individually special.
Yep.
You know, we're not talking about Duesenbergs or, you know, it's like just a nice, clean Plymouth.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck's going to happen to that? Like, what 25-year-olds are into
No,
that,
they're going to get really cheap.
You know?
They just get they get so inexpensive that they become attractive again.
Yeah.
Because like Model Ts still have a pretty thriving market, and we know people who are not 80 that buy them. Like, there's a guy we work with who's like 25.
Who fucks with a Model T?
Yeah.
Does he really?
It's kind of amazing. So
I mean, we know the biggest Model T nerd on earth who's like out of his mind.
Oh, so you know what I'm talking about.
You know Bothwell, right? Do you know John Bothwell? He's the Persang guy.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, but he also owns like a dozen Model Ts.
Right.
Yeah, he's crazy.
So there. It seems like this country's. But this country's so big, so many people that there's kind of like a home for every car.
I agree. I guess the value has to get depressed enough. Like, what would it take? And I'm projecting myself onto other collectors here, but how cheap would that 48, you know, have to go before I'm like, huh? That's a thing.
I don't think. Well, you're not even predisposed to it, so it'll never be cheap enough for you, right?
That's I guess true.
You know.
Good point.
I think the market's going to get really small, but for the people that are interested, like, it's a stunning looking car, and you know, these are going to be
That
4 or
rules.
5 figures.
That
you
thing
know?
rules.
I think that will definitely get that cheap.
I mean,
it's a gorgeous
you're
shape.
watching-
That's not his. That's stretched.
That's a Roadmaster. So
That's a Roadmaster,
you
right?
want
His
the
is
other
just the regular super
regular.
sedan, which is still
Right
very
there?
cool.
one. Yeah, that's it.
Still awesome looking car.
Yeah.
They're
That
gonna
one's
get,
also on like pro touring wheels, basically.
They're going to get inexpensive, I think. But like you said, it's going to be fewer and fewer people that are going to gain interest, not just stay interested, but gain interest in that car.
Right.
Want to wrench on it, but it's a very unique experience for what the money will be.
Yeah, everybody predicts that these cars from the 50s are just going to fall off a cliff. We just don't see it. It's not like they're going to grow anymore, but they don't just collapse in value.
Is it because fewer? Is it because they are also coming off the road at a rate that kind of keeps things even? You know, if they fall away a little bit, they fall
the people
apart.
who own them
Okay.
don't sell them.
Right.
They just get to a place where they're now there's $10,000 and $15,000 cars, and people go, huh? Like that Jag, that was probably $200,000 car 5 years ago. Now at $120, which I hate when I say it like $120. Like, that's not a lot of money. It's a
No, we
crap ton of
understand.
money.
We're all talking. Everything is relative terms. We were just talking about 10 grand a second ago. It's
right. That's kind of the way what we see it happening.
Yeah.
So
I think all right. I think you're probably right. There's probably a floor. There's at a certain point, someone's going to start collecting those and have 100 of them,
Right.
or whatever.
But
I think. What do you think is like of the bull market? Like on this list, is this list really the hottest, or is this like the hottest that you could get together for the photo shoot?
Oh no, it's the hottest.
That's the hottest.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the greatest of the hits right now? What's going on? What is doing the best of these?
In terms of percentage, or dollars.
Like, I know LFA is through the fucking roof right now.
Yeah.
LFAs are like so hot right now.
People are finally appreciating them, and Lexus is like, a little late, but thank you for
Well, you know
coming.
why? Because this started the current design language, but they've now taken that design language too far, so it seems awfully simple and elegant by comparison. You know what I
It
mean?
still seems busy, but I think it's just they're really special cars, and as that story gets more and more publicity, people go, oh, okay. And people are being drawn to buying exotics, and you know, they're buying more modern cars that are appreciating in value, And that is the story behind that car, of how it was built, designed, the money they put into it is really special.
Yeah.
It's very unique. And the things work, apparently.
In theory, they do.
They sound ridiculous.
They do.
Yeah.
I've driven them before. They're fucking rad. They're
really
good, really good
I think
fun.
they're really good. They're not.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember in period they were slow.
I mean, slow, relatively,
right.
but they didn't feel slow to drive, and they certainly weren't. They were fun as fuck. I mean, the one I drove was a really good time.
Totally fun.
It sounded amazing, and the brakes were really good, and the steering was really sharp. It was it was a really nice car.
I don't think that one's. I mean, I'll go out on a limb and say that thing has a ceiling. Because you start getting up to $1 million, and suddenly the substitution comes in. Is it that or an F40?
Yeah, 100%.
Is it this or 288 GTI?
Yeah, mid-high six figures is about where this ends up.
It seems like it. But
you see those Nürburgring editions that they go into the 7 figures once in a while.
That's true.
Or do you think that's a peak that's over?
I mean, I do.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I've been proven wrong many times. But okay, let's go back to another topic that brings up to me. It's like they're almost undrivable, right? Because so many were bought by the guys who own Toyota or Lexus dealers, put them in the showroom.
MSO, no miles.
Right. And that's the main thing you see these days. And once you've bought a car with no miles,
what can you do with it?
Because you see that on Bring a Trailer all the time.
I do.
I always I feel like a little bit of lump in my stomach,
It's a shame because if a car gets to the point where it's on Bring a Trailer with no miles, there's a huge percentage chance that it's going to stay no miles forever.
Exactly.
Shout out to Ed H., who bought a Ford GT at an auction in the West Coast, had it sent here from the auction house, had me put brand new tires on it, shipped it back to his house, and he's driving it, and he bought the car with 170 miles on it. He wanted to buy a brand new 04 Ford GT, and he did, and he started driving it.
I mean, kudos, but the Ford GT
G as fuck.
is one of those cars that's acceptable to drive. That's
it
part
is,
of its
appeal. So the Ford GTs are categories, right? You've got plastic on new cars, right? There's a bunch of cars with less than 500 miles on them, and the plastic's still on them.
On Ford GTs.
Yeah, every auction's got one or two of those. Then you've got the 0 to 1,000 milers. There's a lot of those. Then you've got the 1 to 5,000 mile on, which is where I think the bulk of them are. And then 5 to 15,000 miles.
Yeah.
And then, drivers 15 and up.
Right.
And they're priced in segments like that,
Yeah.
So what you want is whatever one you want to buy, you don't want to drive it into the next segment, right? You got to stay. I had a customer here who just bought a Porsche that's got 45,000 miles on it, and they were asking about the value. I'm like, bro, you're good.
Yeah.
You buy a 45,000 mile GT3, you're good till 79,999.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Till that's got an 8 in front of it, you're on one level of car.
Absolutely.
So that's a good thing.
I have a 993 with 105 on it. I bought it with 88, and I was like,
did you do the top end yet?
no.
You will.
Yeah. Why? Is that bad?
Well, it's on an air-cooled car. That's a 100,000 mile service, and unless you've got a hookup, it's $15,000. It's the valve guides. You'll start to get when you start to get smoke, but it's a 100,000 mile service.
Submit
if you've
your
made it to
car
105,
for a red line rebuild.
Yeah, if you've made it to 105 without getting it, you're ahead of the game. I've had a couple cars come through here that are in the high 80s where they're getting it, where they've had a really rough life. Yeah, and my Safari 911 needed it at 92.
All right, I'll keep my eyes out.
So yeah, I mean, you'll know the fucking thing will smoke like a bitch.
I wouldn't begrudge it. That car is brilliant, man. That's one of the best cars ever.
Well, they fucking did. That's another. See, that is sort of like, that's kind of like the LFA, where it's you can tell they lost money. They lost money making it.
I heard that the 964 was the crazy one, and then they made the 993 that could be made cheaper.
The story I was told is that the 993 was supposed to have the water-cooled engine. So they redid the rear cradle for a water-cooled engine.
No kidding.
They then couldn't afford that engine, so they carried over the air-cooled engine, but they liked the new rear suspension design, so they kept that. So that's how you get the transitionary one. But Jeff Zwart will tell you about, because he was their photographer for the 964.
Oh, yeah, he would know.
And so he'll tell you that in 964 and 993 generations, every Porsche sold in North America had a couple $1,000s in Zwart photography fees built into the price. He was like, cha-ching, 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 cha-ching,
that was a good era for him.
Yeah, kills bugs fast and just fucking jumping Carreras over shit, just killing cars.
Because they had advertised, they weren't selling.
Yeah, there was, and it was film, and it was helicopters. It was if you were Jeff in that period and you just had like a blank check, basically.
You know, I have a 997, which is a 2008 Cup.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, and I was down
For the track? Like a track car?
Yeah.
Does it have plates on it?
No, it's
cool.
a Cup car. It's built
proper Cup car,
factory built race car with a sequential gearbox, no ABS.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Is this a worthwhile pursuit?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh, it's such a baller car.
Better to just buy a race car if you want to be on the racetrack than to turn a street car into.
997 Cups are so cheap.
Really?
They're like 60, 70 grand. They're like the price of a brand new racing Miata.
Really?
And that's a factory cage.
That's right. The ND Miata Cup spec Miata is like 62 grand, isn't it?
The upkeep's a little crazy.
Yeah. How many hours on the engine?
Well, that depends, because if you are going to be competitive in whatever PCA class you want to be, then you're looking at 30, 40 hours to rebuild.
Okay.
But they'll go 100.
Yeah, you're just losing a
little
performance,
power.
but yeah.
So
you got to
cares?
do a story on fucking used factory race cars and what people should be buying. That's a story.
Yeah, it could be a story. But we had the clutch went out in December, and so we did the clutch in the pits, and I was under it with this mechanic that was helping me, and it's shocking how similar they are to the whole lineage of 911s.
Yeah.
Like the pan, how everything bolts up, the transmission. I was really surprised. It just has a couple of water pipes going up the center tunnel.
Something like this?
Yes.
That's
extremely
badass.
That's a different one. I think that may be an RSR because of those fender flares, but it's something like that.
It's also a 997.2. If you want to, that's more like yours, the 05, the first gen
That's
one.
it.
Yeah,
it's more like
This
that.
I mean, it's fucking badass.
Sweet.
Cup cars are amazing.
They're so fast. So last time I was at Sebring.
This one's here, Charleston, South Carolina, 110K OBO.
That must be a low mileage one.
Maybe it's like got a fresh rebuild or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But whatever. Or maybe the guy's just asking but not getting.
It's
Low ballers. Come
Website's
on.
from 08.
Oh, really?
No, I'm kidding. His price might be too high.
they're crazy fast. Every time I get in, I'm like, oh, Jesus.
That's really fun.
I'm not skilled for this.
Do you just leave it at the track or you trailer it?
Trailer.
That's rad.
Yeah. So
That's
anyway.
why you'd get a 458 instead of a 430 with a manual, because this kind of scratches that itch of exotic manual fast, experience.
Yeah, at Sebring, I was doing like 211s, 212s, and there's a guy with a 750 horsepower McLaren Can-Am car in the pit. He's doing like 221s.
No.
He couldn't believe how fast it, because the cornering speeds are crazy.
Ooh.
And I'm certainly not getting everything I can out of it.
That's a gnarly track,
that
too.
looks
Just
so
the surface
fun,
is
though.
terrible.
Terrifies me. It's really, really fun. That
like-
should be your next thing.
Is it forgiving?
Oh yeah, but you're hauling. So you're always going like.
Well, but you've had some other interesting race cars. Didn't you have a little Formula car too?
I still have it. I have a Gurney Eagle Formula Ford.
I mean, that's kind of like
Totally
awesome.
neat.
Those
to have
seem so cool.
A car that's like actually built by Dan Gurney is pretty kind of awesome. How many cars do they build?
Total?
Yeah,
I don't know. They only built 12 of these Formula
these are
Fords.
12? Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
that looks so
These are
shady.
so fun. Nah,
That's
man,
my
I'm-
car. That 19. That's it.
This is
Which
it?
one?
Yeah, right there.
19.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
Great
Look
color.
At that. Fucking
Super fun.
Dude.
sexy little car.
And Gurney's the guy. The bummer with it is I bought it and I thought, well, I love Formula Fords because they're so responsive to where you put the weight of the car and where the traction is. And they're super great driving tools, but I can't belt myself in it myself. Like, that thing's like a little coffin.
Yeah. I hate Formula cars. I feel like I'm going to die.
Yeah.
Even when things are going well, I'm certain I'm going to die.
Yeah, you feel that way, but then you get in a pack and you're racing and it's just...
Didn't Sam Smith have one of these? Did you guys ever race each other?
No, we never got... He had a... which one did he have? He had an Alexis, which looked like a mini F1 car from the 60s. Just the prettiest little thing.
Wow.
The Gurney car is a little weird looking, especially the nose, but super fun to drive.
I'm not sure it's pretty, but it's
No.
definitely cool. I like it.
Man,
I mean,
I
just
mean-
You never
having
raced
having a
anything?
Dan Gurney car. What?
Yeah, having Dan
I've
Gurney.
raced only like sports cars.
And
I've
then-
not. I've done like AER and stuff like that.
So since we did that race, have you done anything else? We did an AER race. Remember?
Yeah, I've done a couple more of those, but I haven't raced anything else. I really like that type of racing. I like endurance racing, and I like sports car racing, and
Right.
I like racing relatively slow cars. That's fun for me.
Right. Me too.
I don't. I mean, probably just because of my size. I don't like formula cars. I feel very, very sketchy in them, and I like having a car around me.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that's that weird. I think that's okay. It's not that strange.
No, I know. It makes total sense. The safety thing's a big deal. That's why that Porsche is so good. It's a factory cage.
Yeah.
It's going to be stout. And
Yeah.
it's totally stout because when you hit the wall with that thing, you're going to be going really fast.
No fucking kidding. Yeah. So can you just like get in that and turn the key and start it and drive it on the track, or does it require like any kind of a team to run?
You open a box and a tiny German man jumps out.
Do you need
and
like
helps.
a person to monitor things?
That's what's amazing about it. It's like a GT3 car.
Really?
Yeah, you can just get in and drive it.
That's kind of awesome.
Now, I have somebody that goes through it because I'm scared of doing it myself. I'm going to miss something.
Of course.
And I've had times when I was Road America where the brake pedal went to the floor. It scared me senseless. But it seems to be very much like a street car.
That's awesome.
Except for that gearbox, which
is fun though. Those gearboxes, I mean,
the best.
on the track,
everybody
I mean,
puts
it's the
paddle.
best.
You can put paddle. You can convert it to paddle. I'm like, why would you do that? I'm sure
Well,
it's faster.
not PDK, right? It's a manual. It has a clutch pedal.
Yes,
For taking off the line.
but then you can instead of pulling on the lever, you can have paddles. But I love the levers.
The lever's the shit.
It's
Unless
the
the
shit.
car is literally so much power that you don't want to take your hand off the wheel ever. You have to have a really fast car for that.
It's pretty close.
Like the only time I've ever felt that way was like shit with like 800 horsepower, like that kind of thing. Where like I really think maybe here is good.
You know what's fun about it though? Like I don't know what you see those IMSA races and the sports cars that race, and you watch it on TV, and you're like, huh, that looks pretty good. And then you get in a car with that kind of speed, and it's like, what the hell did I just do?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
On the rare occasion I've gotten to try real race cars, it's staggeringly good. Yeah.
So what are you looking for these days? You get any cars on your radar?
Oh, dude, I'm full. I just bought a Ferrari. I'm so full.
You have this whole garage here. What are you talking about?
We're sold out. We're basically sold out. I've got a Ferrari that needs to be driven. I've got a Lamborghini that needs to be driven.
Oh, you still have the Countach?
It's right there.
Oh, that was yours. Okay,
It's
I saw
mine.
that there. Okay.
And then I've got an old Porsche. I got plenty of old cars.
How's the Countach been?
Well, it was in a museum for the last 6 months. It was at the Peterson.
Oh,
They
was it?
asked to borrow it.
Nice.
Which is great, except then they couldn't open. And so after 6 months of it sitting there, and me not really want to say anything because they could open or whatever, eventually I just really was like, listen, you're not opening, and you're not opening, and the car needs to be driven. So I went and got it. They were very nice about it. They found a replacement for their exhibit, and I just started driving it again, and it's fucking perfect. It doesn't need anything.
How are they to drive?
Amazing.
Seriously?
You never drove one? Oh, it's so fucking great.
Like, what's great about it?
Bull market 2022.
3,200 pounds and 440 horsepower, and it revs to 8. It has a gated dogleg fucking gearbox, really nice steering, and the 80s brakes, but it rides really well.
What's the driving position like? They look
Comfy.
weird. Is it?
Yeah, it's awkward to get in it, but it's comfy once you're sitting in it. I think it's more comfortable than like an Aventador or a Huracan.
Now, okay, I'm going to say I'm old man here, but does that have like air conditioning so you can drive
Yes,
around?
it has air conditioning.
Does it work?
Yes.
No way.
Absolutely. It does. They don't all work, but mine does. And you'd be fucked if it didn't work. Because
That's what I mean. You'd be
windows like
roasting.
this, yeah.
So it's
The
a
air
more.
conditioning in the Ferrari does not work, but it's a Targa roof with regular size windows, so I don't care.
So why did they? Because nobody really drove those cars. You're suggesting
So-
they're more usable than people think.
1,000% yes.
Oh.
They are like any other Italian car from the 80s. If you just drive them, they work fine. The problem is everyone's afraid to drive them.
Yeah.
They sit, the seals rot, they leak fucking oil everywhere.
Oh.
Now you have to take the entire engine apart to fix that. But I drive mine every week. And because of that, the seals are nice and moist.
So it's usable.
So it doesn't leak oil. It's perfectly happy to run. It starts, it runs, the air conditioning, everything works. It's fabulous. And it's fabulous because I drive it.
Oh, okay.
The ones that sit are clunky and shitty. And mine is great.
So get out and drive.
I've put over 7,000 kilometers on mine since
No
I bought
kidding.
it. Yeah.
Oh,
I
good
bought it
for
with
you.
26,000 kilometers. It's got 33.8 on it now.
So that magazine has a great history of the V12.
Do you
in it.
know that this
There it is.
image? Did I not send you this? You know this?
Yeah,
This
that-
image in your magazine, which
Isn't
is
that Kindle?
this is
Kimball.
yes, Kimball, David Kimball.
Yeah.
I have the original of this framed in my office right now.
Get
it came with
out.
my car.
Where did you get that?
It came with the car.
The original?
Yeah. Wow. An original print. It came with the car, and I framed it and printed it and put it in my office.
Wow.
I'll show it to you.
All
but
right.
it's, I was very delighted when I saw this picture. Yeah, there's a whole article in this month's Hagerty about the Bizzarini V12 engine, which is fabuloso.
Yeah, the backstory to that motor. Aaron called it, the writer called it the small block Chevy of Italian V12s.
Yeah, it's been in a lot of shit.
It's been in a lot of things.
Yeah,
still around.
But you know what? It works real good in my car. And I think the Countach gets a particularly bad rap, but I think it drives fabulous.
Oh, good.
It's pre-Nürburgring. So it's not like the handling is good, but it's not like mind blowing or anything like that. And I'm not like pushing it in fucking canyons. It's Countach. But
okay, wait, stop right there. That's what I mean. Like you said, I'm not pushing it in the canyons.
No,
it's a Countach.
No.
I was
Look,
like,
I fucking mob through the canyons, but
Yeah.
I'm not going over the limit of traction.
Oh,
you know what I
doesn't
mean?
even?
I'm not
Yeah.
talking about chassis dynamics while drifting.
Sure.
I'm just talking about going for a blast through the canyons
Right.
is indeed very fun. And more fun even is going on a road trip with it. I drove it to Santa Barbara, and it was fabulous because it at 80, it's really quiet. Like it settles into this lovely like hum, and it's just it's like a Autobahn missile. Like it was designed to be a comfortable GT car.
wow.
It's fucking great.
All right, next time I'm out here, you got to let me
It's
drive
so
it.
good.
That sounds really good.
It's so good.
Well,
I
you-
like it very, very much.
So we should probably talk real quick. You're going to be doing some videos for us coming up, I think, correct?
Yeah, the show's called Modified.
And
It's about modified cars, obviously.
You'll start filming. That'll be out in April, I believe.
I don't know when it'll be out.
Yeah.
You tell me.
Yeah.
I know that we have a block of filming dates in 2 weeks, and I have a block of filming dates in 4 weeks.
Yeah, well, I just want to say
So-
thanks for doing it. We're pretty excited. We
happy
have
to do
a
it.
lot of stuff on Hagerty.com, tons of new videos, and we really want to keep the spirit of automotive enthusiasm alive. And we think
Yeah.
video is a great way to do it.
And I like doing produced pieces very much. I just don't have the resources myself to go out and decide to make a produced show. So when you guys asked me to do it, and that we were going to be able to do studio shooting and script writing and close down roads with permits, I was like, oh, that sounds fun.
You kind of have to
so-
these days, don't you? Well, we do
No.
I mean, for us to do Run and Gun,
You definitely do not.
well, you can get away with it. But are you still? I mean, how many of those one takes? I mean, what's your schedule like with that stuff?
So I don't drive fans cars anymore. Stopped
Oh.
doing that in 2018. I got burnt out doing it, and
That always looks scary to me. Like you'd get some sketchy.
it was
cars.
sketchy. Yeah, it was sketchy. So now it's only press cars
Okay.
for the most part, but we do a bunch of them. We do 1 or 2 of those a week, press cars, and we do 2 episodes of this, and I write for R&T,
Nice.
and it's good.
Oh,
It's the
cool.
right amount.
Yeah.
It's the right amount. So I'm up in the canyons once or twice a week. It feels like the right amount.
What's your favorite road around Malibu?
In Malibu,
Is it like Decker Road? Is it
my favorite road in
Mulholland?
Malibu is Yerba Buena.
Yerba Buena.
Yeah, which is
Okay.
it's the furthest one west
Why do you like that one?
because it's fucking incredible. We talked about this in the last episode, strangely, because I just had I have the new Cayman GT4 right
Oh,
now, the one with the PDK.
Yeah.
Interesting car. It has it has an amazing. I mean, it's fucking incredible, this road, and it's got some really nice.
Oh, look at that.
Some really nice negative G's where you go from on camber corner over a yump to opposite direction
The
where
roller
you're
coaster.
almost flicking and or hockey stopping the car. Spectacular.
It's like the California engineers built it for driving.
For fun.
Yeah.
So that's in Malibu. My favorite roads are not in Malibu. They're in the Angeles Forest where
yeah.
where you can go fast because there's no houses and stuff and the corners are a little more open.
Got it.
So we like Upper Big Tahunga. We like Angeles Crest Highway. For my show Modified, for you, we are shutting down Upper Big Tahunga.
Oh,
Which is
exciting.
the fucking tits. When they go, yeah, we're going to close your favorite road. And you go, yes.
We just did. I did 33 yesterday out of.
Oh, the best. 33 is the best. Isn't it good?
That road's incredible.
Did you drive all the way?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I heard it got a little fucked up in the fires a few months ago.
Oh, it was dirty from. They put a lot of gravel down for snow.
No, but the road itself was good.
I mean, there were some rough spots, but not bad.
Okay.
Once you got into the good curvy stuff.
I'd like to go have a go again. No, but the good part was good, right?
Good part was good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there was a fire and part of it was damaged. So, but they fixed
it.
They fixed it. Yeah, no, 33 is the shit. We got a couple of questions from the people before we get out of here.
We did that part.
Yeah, no, we do that part now. Do you have a few minutes?
All the time you need.
All right. Where are we starting? Miguel Flores says, "What budget should I put together if I want right-hand drive, daily driver, Yaris-sized hatchback around 150 horsepower?" Right-hand drive with.
I mean, you're kind of looking at like.
Why not just buy
Cooper?
a US spec Civic, right-hand drive?
Yeah.
I would say see what a Nissan Pulsar GTI are.
Do that.
I was going to go to the. Do you remember the Civic Si they got in England, but we didn't get it?
Yep.
And it just had such a cool looking back end to it. You couldn't really import that because it's not 25 years.
No, you can't. No, you can't import that. I thought you were talking about the SIR with the dash shifter.
Yeah, I think it was the one before
This
that.
is what I'm talking about. The Pulsar GTIR. That's a SR20 turbo DET all-wheel drive homologation rally car. How the fuck do you not love that? Look at pull up the interior, Zach.
Yeah, you know what you could pull up? You ever heard of Duncan Imports?
Yeah. Aren't they in, where are they out of?
They're in Virginia.
Yeah. This is our homie who does the same thing. Sean Morris, Top Rank Importers. The JDM folks.
But that's not the guy that was doing all the GTRs with the Skylines.
Yep. Sean.
Same guy.
Yeah, he was at Motor X before.
Yeah, Motor X.
Yeah.
I thought he went to jail.
He did not go to jail. No, if he might have. If so.
Do you remember that whole thing when they
Motor
went?
X? Of course.
They
yeah.
went. Okay.
It was the thing. He definitely worked at Motor X, but he is like the Skyline guy.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
Like, we're doing a show with him. You know.
Good.
We're doing an episode
guy.
with him on Skylines.
Because he'll know backwards. Yeah,
he knows everything.
This is the one, the Auto Zam.
I love the AZ1.
Yes, that's what you
AZ1's
need.
rule. That blue one in the corner, wasn't that some influencer's car? I swear to God, I recognize that car with the wheels.
What's it influencer?
It looks like it's got like Ferrari, like a Chromadora knockoffs, right?
So I would know if you're going to get a right-hand drive car. I don't know why would you not get an AZ1.
AZ1s are the shit. Have you driven one before?
No.
I have driven one.
Yeah, have you?
Yes, and they are awesome.
Really?
Yeah, they're kind of awesome. Yeah,
Are they front driver? They're mid-engine.
No, they're rear, mid-engine rear drive. But get this, the rear suspension on them is a complete fucking nightmare. Okay? It wallows and wobbles. It's a disaster.
Right.
So I forget what you have to do. I think you have to get the suspension. It's not the front from the Mazda 323.
There's already a fix.
The 323 GTX suspension.
Yeah, where do you get that?
Fixes. I mean, who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
But that's what you do. And then you have to get rid of the seats and replace them with Lotus Elise seats.
They are the best
which
seats.
give you a ton more room.
Sure.
Because otherwise there's not enough room.
shell.
And if you do that, and then you put a different spring on the turbo wastegate, it gives you like 7 horsepower. So it takes it from like 81 to 89 horsepower.
Don't you love car people? There's already this recipe out there.
That's what you do. That's what you do with your AZ1. And then you park it next to a Tahoe and die laughing.
Yeah. That was a good answer. I hope he does that.
Maxwell wants to know if you watched The Lady in the Dale. I've been watching it. Have you watched The Lady in the Dale?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what we're talking about?
No, because I'm just kicking myself. I hadn't thought to do more of that story earlier because we've known about it. You know about it, right? And it's
been out there.
It's been out there.
Yeah. What I didn't know about at all and was not brought up was the transgender angle.
You didn't know that?
It's not that I didn't know. I suppose I didn't know. I don't recall. Whatever the last bit of media I saw about it didn't mention it, and I never really saw a close enough picture. I didn't pay that much attention, honestly.
Yeah.
I focused on how weird the car was.
Oh, right, of course.
And I didn't focus on that other angle.
Is it good? I mean, I'm sure they
It is good.
They do a good job. Yeah.
It's good.
Okay, good.
And to your point, Matt, like there's clearly not a lot of visual assets out there because of the time period. So like they stitch together with a lot of photos, but they reuse a lot of the photos. So I can see why you wouldn't see a photo of her like next to anything for perspective. You wouldn't know she's 6'6".
Yeah,
but it's pretty cool. You know.
Did they do it like? Did you see that DeLorean movie that Tamir did with Alec Baldwin? Why are you laughing?
Dude, because because we've talked about how weird that movie is so many times.
I thought
when Alec Baldwin breaks
job.
character, but still dressed as John DeLorean, it's just so weird.
All right, take a little things, but I thought on a whole that was a pretty cool way to do it. You didn't like it?
Until the actors just were not.
They broke the wall?
Until they broke the fourth wall. It's like, here's what I think about the situation. I was like, but other than that, I know what you mean.
I thought
no, Lady in the Dale is good. And
because they got to reenact so many scenes like DeLorean.
They didn't reenact anything. There's no reenactments.
No kidding.
It's talking heads and photographs and period video. It's a documentary. It's not a reenactment like the Framing John DeLorean is. Yeah.
Okay.
But it just made me think Tesla over and over. They talk about this. It's like all these little mini scams that Carmichael was pulling to try, all of we're going to go against the big three. It's, David and Goliath, us versus them, and they can't handle us, revolution. And meanwhile, the whole thing is just kind of bilking money out of people. I just kept, there's just so many echoes of Tesla in the documentary.
That's a controversial statement because what Tesla did is, they got the story right. Stock price went up. They were able to get such cheap capital and kind of pull the future forward, right?
In theory.
You don't buy that?
What I don't buy is the product on which they got the capital. The pretense.
It's not that bad.
Huh?
The Teslas are not that bad.
No. I'm talking about like Cybertruck not being real. It's the Roadster kind of not being real.
Okay, you want to go there? Do you really think GM's going to be all electric by 2035?
No.
Yeah.
No, I think that's complete
horseshit.
But they're not selling deposits on a fucking movie prop, are they?
Yeah, that's fair, but I was totally with you, but then once I saw them land that rocket on the barge in the sea, I just go
the fuck's a rocket got to do with a car? Nothing.
Because the same person who was the genius behind that company was also behind Tesla.
You sheep. You fucking sheep.
Rocket
people do rockets. Car people do cars. Being good at one thing has absolutely nothing to do with the other.
Totally not true.
And one company...
Because he could find the people, build the organization that can do that.
Oh, well, he can't do that with the cars. He can't fucking leave that shit alone, can he? He lets the rocket people build the rockets, and the rockets work most of the time. He can't stay away from the cars,
I think the cars are pretty good.
The real cars, the cars you can get in and buy right now, are fine. Not great, fine. The Cybertruck is not real. It is a movie prop.
Yeah, I can't argue with you. Who knows?
It's not real, but he sold deposits on it, which is, in my opinion, unethical. It's not real.
How do you know it's not real?
Look at it. What are you fucking, come on. What, are you born yesterday?
What? Every concept car looks crazy.
Every concept car looks crazy. He didn't say this is the concept car. He said this is the car. You're going to buy this.
Well, we'll have to wait.
And let me throw a rock at the window because it's unbreakable. Smash.
That was good.
I mean, come on. It's all such an obvious fucking fleece. But I don't know. Everyone whenever you call out bullshit emphatically, people call you an alarmist. Except when you're telling the fucking truth, you're not an alarmist. You're just
the reason I
truth.
stopped though is he's gotten so much farther than I ever thought. So I'm just I'm just going to keep quiet.
He's not gotten farther than the stock price certainly has.
The cars that he's produced,
they're no closer to full self-driving than they were in 2016 when he said you can now buy a car with a full self-driving option. That'll be an extra $8,000, please.
But the cars are very good without, put that aside.
It doesn't matter. That's where the
companies,
fucking eggs are. The eggs are in that basket.
You know how many companies said we'd be riding in robo-taxis by now?
But you can't buy. They're not selling it to you. No other company has a full self-driving option that costs 4 or 5 figures and does nothing.
Saying. Yeah, that's
shady. A fleece
for sure.
And then they can remove the feature when they sell it used, which is very
And
rare.
all the profit they are making right now, the great portion of it comes from selling credits to other automakers.
No doubt.
Who, as they come out with their own EV products, which they will, those profits are going to dry right up.
Okay, to all fair, all I agree, but where are those great EV products from all the other companies?
Mach-E rules. Have you driven Mach-E?
No.
It rules.
Good, yeah.
It's a Tesla Model Y without the memes.
What are they going to do about the charging, though?
Well, that's a problem. Admittedly, that's a problem. It is. I hope something. Yeah. I hope the Biden administration unveils some type of interstate highway system level product for nationalized EV charging. Not necessarily nationalized EV charging stations, but I should say like a standardized connector at the very least. Standardized charging speeds. You know, a set of standards and a budget and a plan. And obviously, that's way easier said than done. But I think
it's going to require that.
Yeah, and I think the Biden administration so far has signaled their initiatives of what they're going to be doing, and I think if you're going to have fucking GM posturing about their 2035 switch to EVs fucking horseshit, which they all are, because they get that headline now and then they walk it back on page 7 in 3 or 4 years, you know, when they can't do it.
It's an aspiration.
But
inspiring.
I think,
I think at best it's aspirational. At worst, it's just posturing and advertising when the administration changes.
Okay, totally switching gears a little bit. Like the first Roadsters. Like, they're like kind of classics.
Collectible. Yeah. I know. And you know who called that? Leno, like 5 years ago.
Oh, did he?
He called it like 5 fucking years ago.
We did a piece on one 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like all these cars that Lotus basically fathered from the Caterham to the Miata to the Roadster. And I mean, you heard what they do now, right? They upgrade the batteries and they go forever.
Yeah.
Totally.
Because they weigh not much and they can go for 400 miles or whatever. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that makes some sense. There's a very small amount of them. It's a very early version of a product. Bro, someone's selling a fucking Apple One computer for $1.5 million bucks right now. Early tech.
I've not seen that. Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I just saw the listing. Early tech is there's a market for early tech. I do not believe, and I'll eat my words if I'm wrong, I do not believe there will be any sort of nostalgia at all for any other EV, period.
Than the Roadster. What? What are you talking about? That Leaf? That thing's a looker.
Hatchback, man.
You got the Gen 1 Leaf?
Yeah, it's only 45 miles.
That's the one with the good suspension.
Yeah,
right. You got the good time.
Strong power pack.
Let's wrap these up.
Have a lot.
Shin Goose says, I'm into weird models of commonly sold cars. I've got an old Fairlady Z, a 98 Corolla 11. Okay.
Look up the Corolla 11. I don't even know what that is.
A Corolla, that's JDM. Do these end-run cars have a collectible premium because of their engines? Listen, if the editor of Hagerty's never heard of your car, it's not collectible.
No.
It's not a good sign.
I'm not the final word on that.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is an unattractive answer to the prelude.
I don't know about that. Yeah, it looks like I don't know about that.
Well, how are we defining collectible? Is somebody somewhere going to want it? Yeah, probably.
It looks like a little mini Skyline. Like someone tried to turn a Corolla into a Skyline.
It looks like a 200 SX.
I would not. I would not try to make up a reason for this car being particularly collectible. Drive and enjoy.
Let's just say you should enjoy the hell out of that car, like you should all of them. Wow.
No, yeah. Ryuka Chu says, having driven a lot of projects, do you feel a wide body car would be too much for a pro daily? I need 345 wide tires. Oh, that would be terrible.
Didn't he ask this yesterday?
Maybe. Someone asked a wide body car yesterday.
Ryu, I think we answered this question yesterday.
It'd be horrible.
No, yes, do it. Enjoy it.
It'd be great on autocross, pretty much.
It'll tramline terribly.
It'll tramline like crazy. Shin Goose says, do crossover model year cars with older bodies but newer engine parts have a collectible value? Interesting. I think maybe he's talking about, say, the Ferrari 348, which has some 355 parts, or like...
Oh, I was thinking, my head went to E46 M3. Do you want the 3.2 motor or the 3.0? Mm-hmm. What about S2000? Do you want the 2-liter or the 2.2?
Right.
It's a case-by-case basis. It all depends on what the market wants.
And the S2000, that is like a battle between the British and the Scottish back in the day. Like the arguments on forums between those two engines is big. It's like torque, horsepower.
The whole point of that car is the revs. So to not get the 2-liter makes no sense to me. If you're really about torque and driving, you get a Miata.
Can I put that on a T-shirt? If you're really about torque, what you want is a 1.6.
Well, compared to that thing,
I know it's true, but man, that's funny.
Here's another one that would satisfy that like a Mondial T. Mondial T represents, I think, a unique place in the automotive world. Have you ever heard of another car for which they changed the direction of the engine in the mid-cycle refresh.
That is Camisa level nerd right there.
They went from a
that?
transverse to a longitudinal engine.
No.
Yeah. A Mondial 8 or a Mondial 3.2 from 1982 to 88 is a transverse engine. And then the Mondial T, despite being called T, is a longitudinal engine like the 348 has. They changed the direction of the engine 90 degrees. Isn't that weird as hell?
That is weird as hell. Well, it shows they were still building with ladder frames.
The T drove better with the longitudinal engine, but the transverse one doesn't have to come out to do the belt service. So weigh your options.
Pick your poison.
Yeah. Cars and Cameras is thinking about E46 M3 ownership for weekend use. Is the competition pack worth a premium? Should I be afraid of high miles? Zach?
If you're talking about high miles, then you shouldn't worry about the competition pack because it basically gives you different suspension, 19-inch wheels, and slotted brakes. So
That's
two
it.
of those things, one, the 19s are too tall. You want 18s.
You don't want those.
Two, you can get suspension from newer companies with newer technology that are better, and same thing with brakes. So if you're going to pay more money and then have a car that has 80 to 110,000 miles, it's not an investment anyway.
Yeah.
So just get a normal E46.
If I could just jump in here as an E36 owner, and that was my daily when I went to Hagerty for 2 years. Those things, the powertrains are so brilliant.
Yeah.
And the rest of the cars are good when they're new, but there's so much rubber in those chassis. Like, it's...
Yeah, you need to do a lot of stuff to
There's a lot of stuff to bring them up to snuff. So the miles, I'd be a little concerned
He's talking about 46,
46s.
not 36.
I know,
so
but
you
it's just...
They're not the same.
Yeah, it's the same.
I will cut your mic again, sir.
That's hilarious. Daniel Berman wants to know, what was the first fun or interesting car you bought yourself, and do you regret it?
Yes.
What was it?
Oh, shit. You're really going to make me do this. It was a 1984 Dodge Daytona Turbo Z.
Yeah.
It's the first car I bought.
I regret it now.
Yeah. It was really bad. But it talked to you. Beep,
Sure.
beep, beep, your door is open. And it made the best
Is it
turbo
open or
whistle.
ajar? Was your door ajar? Your door is ajar.
Oh,
Your
look at
door
this.
is ajar.
I don't remember. It might have been a jar. Yeah.
Only the classy cars used the jar.
Yeah, but mine was the cool one. It was that one in the red with the silver.
The two-tone?
Yeah, it was a two-tone.
Two-tone.
Up one. Up
You're
one.
right. That is better looking, Larry.
Up one. Up one. Yeah,
That one, yeah. Two-tone?
Yeah, that one.
God, that's hot.
That is
It was
horrendous.
a cool looking car.
I'm not going to front, bro. I liked the Dodge Daytona. I did back in the day. I was about it. I thought it was cool looking.
I thought it was cool. That was the one I learned about the wheel cleaner could rip off your finish because that happened.
Oh, that was back when they used to use the acids
Yeah.
on the wheels.
Oh my
right?
God. I was
Just
watching it
strip
all
that
peel
shit.
off in front of me. Like, what? You know how many lawns I cut to get this damn car?
Was that front drive? This thing?
Yeah,
It was.
totally.
Okay. There's a guy. I know that's a dumb question.
Front wheel drive iRocker.
Yeah. There's a guy in LA who comes to Cars and Coffee once in a while who's got the final model year of this, where they kind of rounded it off a little
Shelby
bit.
one?
The Shelby one.
Yeah.
But it's got a 6.1 Hemi rear drive setup in it.
Wow.
It's fucking awesome.
Is it?
It looks completely stock on the outside. Total sleeper.
Now, do you think, is there any scenario where you see a Daytona Turbo Z, because the Z was the special model, had all the skirts, and there are probably zero left. Do you think those will ever appreciate? Will they ever be like a big collectible?
You know, I think the GLHSs are being appreciated.
They might be, yeah.
Some of the
Yeah.
Chrysler era Shelbys are starting, and maybe like the Dakota, the Shelby Dakota convertible.
Sportback or
the
whatever.
convertible.
Yeah. Don't you love the car? They have that crazy
Doing
stuff.
the best. Fake name goes here. Dailies, a Shelby GT350, even through winter. You're a G. Love it. Looking at selling and picking up a used manual GT3. Is the step up worth it if I don't care about interior, build quality, prestige, just experience? I think yes.
Totally.
I think yes.
Oh my God, all day long.
There's a lot of things. Shelbys are lovely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things about GT3s that are a step above
Well, he didn't
Shelbys.
talk. He didn't mention what generation he's talking about. Is he talking 996?
Let's
or is he
assume
talking,
he means a newer one.
Yeah.
The new 991.2 GT3.
which means no stick.
Means- no, you can get a stick.
Oh, you can.
Yeah, we got them here.
Oh.
Yeah, you can. After 2017 and up, you can. So,
I'll try.
like, it means 4-liter engine, 500 horsepower, you know. Here's the real difference between a Porsche and a Mustang. When you drive a Mustang, the body of the car, it's almost like they put the body on the platform and then shoved an air pump in there and went thump, 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 and like ballooned it out.
That's a good way to do it.
Whereas in a Porsche, they did the opposite. They put the body over the car and then put a vacuum pump and then sucked the air out, and it's shrunken down over the fenders. And so it's like, you know, the visibility and all of that stuff, it's like down lower.
More glass for sure. Yeah, they are
yeah.
nice. But just that engine, this $8,000 motor.
Fuck yeah.
Whales.
Yeah.
I don't think the GT350 really lived up to the sound that I was looking for out of it.
I loved it when I first drove the press car, and I like it a little less now, but it's still cool.
It
you know
sounds
what I'm
less
excited for?
special, yeah.
The
Well-
Z06 flat plane I'm excited for.
Yeah,
That's gonna be good.
I think what I'm always trying to get back to is this car I'm so afraid to own but so want, and that's a 355. That's the best sounding.
Yeah.
The best sounding car ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time I go to buy one, Colin Comer talks me out of them.
The maintenance is real scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. That's a truth. That's a truth. The maintenance is not bad on these 328s, so I'm told, and I think it's true. 355, the rumors are true.
But that's the best sounding Ferrari
But it's the
street
best
car
sounding.
ever made.
Exactly.
But it's like the most expensive thing to maintain. So there's a Ferrari tech on site when we shot Rated.
Oh, yeah?
About the Ferrari. And we were talking, I was like, hey man, what do you see in the shop? Like, what's good? What requires a lot of maintenance? And he said, the worst thing are 355s. And he goes, then F50, then F40. So you're going to be
above an
it's
F40?
above that in terms of difficulty, cost. He's
Yeah.
like, they are terrible.
Yeah, I've heard it. I've heard it all. I still love them.
It's
They're
F50,
gorgeous.
F40, F50, 355, F40 is the order of Ferrari maintenance nightmares. Let's see. Someone just watched Larry Chen's video on WCS. I look super high and mildly freaking out. No, just another day. Any chance from having Steve? I don't know Steve. Do you know Steve Strope?
Yeah, name's familiar. He's a hot rod.
I don't know him. He's a hot rod guy.
Hot rod guy?
Yeah.
Hot rod guy. I don't know. Look into it. Wyatt says, Larry, when do you think split window Corvettes will drop under $100K again? It's my dream car, but I'd really like to spend $80K, not $120.
All right, just don't get a split window.
I mean, that's,
I don't see them coming down
Yeah.
for a long, long time.
No,
every
thanks to
other
Sam.
thing about the other cars is the same, except for the fucking window.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just get a 65.
And you could just put a piece
Get
of
some
tape.
paint. Forget it. Piece of tape. Exactly.
How come, I mean, there must be a cottage industry for that, for turning non-split windows into split windows.
Sure. Yeah, people do it.
Just, I mean, if the guy could probably make his own split window for like $45K if he really wanted to.
Okay, this brings me to another topic, which is I take a little bit of heat for because I love tribute cars. I love the idea of faking a special model for a fraction of the price.
The
getting
tribute
all of the
Daytonas
experience.
are awesome, I gotta say. The Dodge Daytona, the tributes for those are
they?
really well done. Yeah, you know, Hillbank does a bunch of them.
Does he?
Yeah, no, I'm fucking with you.
I mean,
Go ahead.
Well, it depends. What level of fakery are we talking about here?
The one I just sold, I had a Chevelle wagon that it really wasn't built, but it was a tribute to Yanko. So it had
Okay.
a big block, it had a 5-speed, and it had all the stripes, and it was not real. It wasn't a real Yanko, but it had sort of the
that's
look.
kind of cool.
It's totally cool. I loved it.
Yeah.
I had a
I mean, yeah, fake Yanko. Yeah, sure, whatever.
Okay, I had a fake GT350 Shelby.
Seeing a trend.
I've seen that. That's okay.
It's totally cool.
I think that's okay. Did it say Shelby on it?
It
Or
had
was it just the color?
Well, this was one of guys that works with us, Sam Smith. He owned it before me, and when he got it, it had GT350 on the sides. And he couldn't take it because it wasn't real, so he took it off and just made the stripe.
Yeah.
Right move.
I think that is the right move.
Yeah.
And from what Sam's told me, like it drove the way a real GT350 would drive. So you're getting the right experience.
No, it was way bonkers on top of it. I had like a 450 horsepower, 358
Holy shit.
stroker motor. Yeah,
Oh,
this thing
geez.
just woke the dead. It was crazy.
Nice.
Sounds fun.
I mean, that's okay. A tribute car is fine as long as it's
You
not
sound
like...
skeptical.
Well, because I've seen people make like, put like the M3 bumper on a 335 and then put an M3 badge and go, yo, it's
Fair.
a, you know what I mean?
What do you
I've
think?
seen
Well, okay.
some real bullshit.
All the RSR clones, Porsches that are out there.
I'm not personally offended by a backdated RSR style build. I don't really give a shit unless you're actually trying to like sell it at RM or something as a real car. I've had a couple of customers send me links to various sites and go, "What do you think about this?" And almost everything they've sent me has been garbage in terms of builds that are for sale, complete builds that are for sale.
Okay, I might change my mind on this one. What like a GTO Judge?
A fake Judge?
Yeah, versus real. Because the real one is
Give a
just
shit.
stickers and it costs a gazillion, right?
I don't personally really care if it's a fake judge.
Okay.
No, I care if like when do I care? I don't even really care at all, honestly. There's at Cars and Coffee. There's
You love them all.
There's an Avanti that's not a '60s Avanti. Someone tried to do an Avanti body that went on like a 2006 Mustang.
Yep.
And it's offensively hideous.
You know,
so there's that.
We have not done that story right. We tried, and I haven't been able to tell it right. I haven't figured out what it is about the Avanti that it drives a certain subset of people absolutely bonkers.
Bonkers, good or bad?
Both. Because if you think about the amount of money lost in trying to resurrect the Avanti, like 5 different people lost fortunes because they were convinced if they could just keep building this.
Horrendous.
The Avanti.
Horrendous.
Oh my God, everybody's going to love this. So something about that car has just driven some people over the edge, and I don't know why, because I don't
either.
At all.
It's just a car.
It's just a car. And it's not, I never thought they were that good looking.
It's just kind of a weird looking car.
But they built them in Mexico. They built them all over the country. I mean,
gotta keep it alive.
Gotta keep it going.
I watched comedians in cars getting coffee, and JB Smoove. You know JB Smoove?
I know JB Smoove.
His favorite car is an Avanti. So Jerry picked him up in an Avanti, and he lost his shit.
No way, really?
Yeah.
There you go.
It looked like a terrible car.
Yeah.
It didn't look good. Tenochtitlan. Thank you, sir. John Walkow says, Larry, can you tell us give us the 5-minute version of your history with multiple magazines. I write stories and do photography and would like to be you.
I mean, we could both answer that. It's hustle. You know, I quit my job and I put all my stuff in my GTI and I showed up at Car and Driver's office and said, I will do whatever you want. My parents were crying. I had $32,000 in student loans, and I totally rolled the dice because I could defer them for a year. And that's how it started. It was all passion, and I got to do tons of ideas, and I never said no, and it's usual. Let me see. Hard work and dedication.
Exactly.
It works, and passion. So I don't mean to be trite, but now you have so many opportunities to make stuff for yourself. Mm-hmm. And the issue will be...
And you shouldn't show up at the doorstep of magazines right now, because that won't really work anymore.
That doesn't work anymore.
It won't work, yeah.
No. But I'm not sure what to tell you, because what you really need is to work somewhere so somebody will tell you your stuff is no good or good.
Yeah.
Because there's so much out there that you could just post, but you're not going to get better.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be my 2 cents. What do you think?
I think that's really good advice. I think...
Also, you have to. I was willing to own that I was never going to get rich. I was prepared for it to be a lifestyle job. The fact that I'm running this organization is crazy, because my thought was, I'm just going to make sure I wake up every day and I'm happy to wake up. Whatever else happens, I don't care. So
that's like saying you're going to buy an old car and being like, I'm not going to make money on this, but it's going to be pretty sweet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to be honest with yourself about the state of automotive material and content. It's a tough place to be these days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with like, there were a few years where it was like amazing to have, 10 Porsches because they went from here to here.
Yeah.
But like that's past now. And it's like kind of like it was amazing to be me and Zach when YouTube was first a thing, because we went from fucking guy who washes cars to guy who talks about cars and has fans.
Yeah.
But like now that doesn't really happen that way anymore. I mean,
you don't think you think it's too crowded that somebody couldn't do what you did?
No. People do. People do all the time.
Yeah,
There's so many people who started after us and have gone past us.
Yeah.
But the only way you do that is by finding whatever your unique angle is.
Your niche.
It's almost impossible to do that just being like, hi, I do car reviews now. You know what I mean? Like anyone who's done it and really succeeded, like, Doug DeMuro has a very unique take. Freddie Hernandez is doing rebuilding broken exotic cars, which is
love Freddie more.
Something that I don't even want to fucking do.
Yeah. Fearless.
I think the Yuri and Jacob up in Canada were kind of the first people that were doing the 2-person thing, and they did that very well. So you got to find your own angle, more so now than you used to.
But do you think it feels like to make money off of YouTube as a car person is almost like the odds
so
that a good
hard.
basketball player is going to get in the NBA, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just I don't want to kill this guy's dream. I just want to be realistic about it.
No, I mean,
think John's a photographer because he's gotten media passes to Fort Pikes Peak through us before and shot for us and a little bit. And but I think your advice is still really sound. Like you need to find the opportunities, say yes to them, and then you keep saying yes for as long as possible. Like that's really the key to all of it. That's what I did. That's what Matt did. You know, like we moved into that house. We just kept saying yes to whatever channel, whatever thing would come about. And we just, okay, we're going to go shoot a thing on a Tuesday for no money? Sure. Like we'll do that. And it just makes sense. In your brain, it will just make sense. But you have to keep doing
and
that.
And it takes 10 years.
Yeah, it does. The Smoking Tire has, is not, as a business, we've been around for 11 years, 12 years, and we grow like 10, 12% year over year. It's not like any year had a 300, 400% growth.
Yeah, exactly.
It's incremental.
Sure.
So, Larry, what is it like being responsible for the task of creating content for Hagerty? I'm going to drop the second half of that question because
it's super duper fun. We work with super talented people, like the people in this room. It's super duper terrifying because you're writing checks for all kinds of stuff that you're not sure is going to be successful or well received. So you're just trying a lot of things. You're trying to make sure that the passion is always across. There's information and it's high quality, and you're making what we do look good. So it's definitely a mix. I'm super grateful, but it's scary too, if that makes sense. There's a lot of sleepless nights.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like we're just writing about cars. Well,
no, deadlines, between a video show and an actual print magazine that has to, be done I assume fairly old school way. It's a print magazine.
A lot less people than it used to be.
Yeah, but at least though, what I really like about Hagerty Magazine, it's not that there's no advertising, because there's advertising, but it's because it's backed by a big insurance company. It's not like your typical car magazine where 75% of the magazine is ads for other shit, which is nice.
We're very lucky we can stick out. So anybody can get the magazine. You just have to join the Hagerty Drivers Club, which is $45 a year. You get a great magazine. You get roadside on all your fun cars. You get discounts. You get events, all kinds of stuff.
Hagerty, and the level up from that, the Roadside Plus or whatever they call it.
Yeah, you can just get more
miles.
It's like
I don't want to say the wrong name, but whatever the next tier up is a fucking awesome value. I have it. It's like 5 tows a year, 150 miles each.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's Smokes AAA's tow package.
Exactly.
And it works even like I used it on, like, for instance, I got a flat tire on my Vespa. Then my Vespa is the only vehicle I own that's not insured by Hagerty. It's just got regular insurance on it. But Hagerty Roadside, they don't give a fuck. They came and got that shit and took it to the dealer.
And they always bring flatbeds, so they know taking care of it. Yeah, so that's how you get the magazine. Anybody can get it. And thanks. We're very lucky because, like you said, the other magazines are getting smaller, more ads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you are not down with Hagerty Insurance, you really should be. This is not an ad. I just am a customer who has been paying them for several years, and I really like them. And now that I've been involved in an accident and had to file a claim, I like the way that that's gone too.
So they do all these customer surveys, and there's high customer surveys, and it always goes up if someone's had a claim.
Yeah.
Because it was so easy.
Yeah.
But I was a customer too before I joined them. So I get it.
But also, like, if you've got like some weird imported cars, JDM cars, like whatever, they're like, oh yeah, no problem. Like, I know what that is. It's not like I don't know what you're talking about. Last 2 questions before we get out of here.
Oh, this is a great question.
Where do we see Carrera GT prices going? Is there a ceiling, or is the price primarily dictated by how much cash potential buyers have laying around? What do you think?
Do you think the Paul Walker thing's going to suppress those values?
Absolutely not. I think it will increase those values, like James Dean with the 550. Because cars that have a reputation for being sketchy and scary and easily crashable are always worth a lot of money.
Oh, interesting. I thought you might say something different. Okay, but then that thing, it's only going up, right?
I think it's only going up. I think because they don't make that type of car anymore, manual gearbox, no stability control, because it's so pretty, because it sounds so good, and because it is that type of experience is no longer available from new, I think maybe not have another shoot up, but I think Porsche will never make that type of car again. And so if you want that type of experience, that's the fastest, gnarliest one you can get.
The clutch problem is going to hurt that? They're really hard to drive.
They're tricky to drive, but that's okay. I don't think
I've had those things on a track. I think they're brilliant. I love them.
They're the fucking best.
Slide the hell out of them.
They are so good. And with modern tires, you're all right.
Yeah, I know some people that have been really intimate, and they've said that it is inherently evil. It just is. So, so to your point.
Yeah. They're tricky. Yeah. Last question before we're shutting it down. Do we prefer LS or Hemi engines? Larry Webster.
That's so easy. LS.
You prefer the LS?
Sure.
All right.
What about you?
I prefer the sound of a Hemi engine.
Yeah.
But I prefer the size and weight and flexibility of an LS engine. Both a fine quality product, if you ask me.
Run forever. 300 horsepower for $1,500.
Right.
What else do you need to know?
Exactly. Thanks for coming in, bro.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure, Matt. Thanks,
It's a great
Zach.
show.
Yeah.
Thanks for having you. Hagerty Drivers Club, the magazine. Join the Drivers Club. Get the magazine. Get some other stuff, too. And look for my new show, Q2 of this year.
Yeah, it'll be out in
modified on the Hagerty YouTube channel. We're doing a shoot day here, a shoot week here in California. Should we? I don't want to talk about the topics we're covering yet. No, I'm gonna leave that.
And there's so many videos already out there, brand new from Camisa, Magnus Walker, for our buddy Zach. So go check out the Hagerty.com video or YouTube.
Indeed. Thanks very much, everybody.
Have a great weekend.
Good weekend. We'll see you later. Bye.